the best future for our community and all of its citizens. We ask you to remain with our leaders throughout the world in their charge to keep us safe and improve our pursuit of peace. Be with our men and women in uniform who protect our freedoms at home. We ask you also to remain with all our first responders who work tirelessly for our security, health, and well-being every day. We ask you to provide comfort and solace to their families until their safe return home each and every day. May we remember that it is wonderful what miracles God works in wills that are utterly surrendered to Him. It is not that He puts easy things in the place of the hard, but He actually changes the hard thing into an easy one. And as is written in your word, may we remember and give thanks in Psalms chapter 136, verse 4. To praise Him who alone does mighty miracles. It is in your holy name and works we pray, dear God. Amen.
Amen.
Join me in the Pledge of Allegiance, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you all for participating. You may be seated. We'll call this meeting to order at 6:02 of the Archer City Commission on February 24th, 2025. Our first order of business is we have one of our constituents that is ill this evening, and I'll ask for an excused absence for Commissioner Joni White due to her illness.
So moved.
I have a motion from the Vice Mayor, Iris Bailey. Do I have a second?
A second.
I have a second from Commissioner Green. Any further discussion? Any discussion from the audience regarding her absence?
Bill Lewandowski, citizen. First of all, I hope that Joni's okay. The other thing is just one minor point, is that we're your constituents. They're your colleagues. I mean, they're also kind of your constituents too, but we're the constituents out here, just as a point of order. Thank you.
Thank you, sir, for that correction. Any further comments from the audience and our constituents from the audience? Hearing none, I'll call for a vote. All those in favor of excusing Commissioner White, say aye.
Aye.
Aye as well. Nays, like sign. Hearing none, motion is approved 4-0. Next is our additions or deletions to the agenda. Do we have any?
Yes, sir, staff does. I would like to add the IRS outstanding debt under new business number 2.
Okay.
And then another item, the repair quote for the 2000 Ford F-250.
Okay, anything else from anyone? Anything from our constituents in the audience? Hearing none, all those in approval of the additions to the agenda, say aye.
Aye.
Nays, like sign. Aye as well. Hearing none, motion's approved. Next is the adoption of the agenda
With the changes.
with the changes and the additions provided by our manager.
So moved.
I have a motion from our Vice Mayor,
A
Iris
second.
Bailey. I have a second. Who was it?
Commissioner Penny.
Commissioner. All right. Any further discussions? Any comments from our constituents in the audience? Hearing none, all those in favor of the adoption of the agenda with the additional new items, say aye.
Aye.
Aye as well. Nays, like sign. Hearing none, motion's approved 4-0. Thank you. First order of business is in our guest list. It is our guest, Mr. Ted Fleming from the Central Bidding. Welcome. Yes, sir.
Mr. Mayor, if I may speak on Mr. Fleming prior to his presentation, I want you all to understand the context that it falls in into the legal field here. So there is a statute that governs your notices as a municipality. As of right now, the way that it sits is Archer. Every time you advertise an ordinance, or if you have to advertise a resolution or a bid document, you all put it out into the newspaper, and Deanna can tell you that it is an exorbitant cost to do that. There is a statute now that allows you to switch to electronic postings. However, the last subsection of that statute says that if you're going to post electronically for bid documents, you have to have a way to accept electronic bids. Mr. Fleming's company allows you to do that at no cost to the city. The city of Stark and the city of High Springs have contracted with him thus far, so I asked him to come speak to you all this evening about his company and whether there is truly no cost to the city, how it works, so on and so forth. So I wanted to bring you the legal perspective. Mr. Fleming's going to bring you the perspective of here's also what his company can do for the city. But that was just my intro that I wanted to give you all.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Danielle. All right, welcome, Mr. Ted. Let me tell us about your services.
Well, thank you. My name is Ted Fleming. I am a co-founder and COO of Central Bidding. We've been in business for about 17 years, been accepting bids for about 15 years. Took us a few years to write all the programming necessary to get this up and running. We work along the southeastern United States, Arkansas, Louisiana, Mississippi, Alabama, and Florida. We have about 800 agencies that work with us for electronic bidding. We focus on the small and mid-size types entities for the reason that all the big entities, they have a lot of means to be able to go out and do this stuff, where nobody focuses enough on the smaller and the mid-size, who in our opinion, our company, are the ones who need the most assistance because they don't have the big contractor audience. They need the help on the front end on how to write the bid specs, things like that. So we focus on that as a marketplace. We are no cost to your city for any of the services we do, whether it is the training, whether it is the notifications to vendors, nothing. There is no fee, and it's part of our agreement that says there is no fee to you. So when you work with us, we don't change your bid documents at all. You're going to do exactly the same way you are today. You're going to wind up just taking them, scanning them, and we're going to be posting them online so that we then send out notifications to vendors who have signed up with us, allowing them to view and to be able to participate in your process. Addenda notifications are sent out through us. They are all time and date stamped. We have had instances where people said they did not get addendum. We can always prove they did. We prove when you put it up, when it was sent, when it was received, when it was opened, and when it was downloaded. We accept electronic bids for you, as well as you will take paper bids. We're not trying to change everything. We're not trying to force your vendors to make changes. This is an option, not a requirement for them. So they can still do business exactly the same way they want, but this allows you to say, yes, we can receive them electronically. It's a simple process. There's nothing complicated about it. Posting something to my website takes 3 to 5 minutes. Opening bids, when you're at your bid opening, you just go to the website. You'll be taught and trained exactly how to do it. If you can use your email address, you can use my website because it's attachments that you're going to download just like you would download an attachment from an email, except it's encrypted and it is fully secured. So that's the 30-second summary of what my company does. We are working in Florida. We have a number of agencies, about 50 so far in Florida, but 800 agencies in total that work with us. So any questions at all?
Mayor, I know you said there's no charge, so what do y'all get out of it? Or you all are paid by the vendors?
We are, and here's how that
Okay.
works. I want to make sure you understand it. We're not, because if you decide to use us, doesn't mean anybody else should or should have to pay us. What it is, the vendors can register on our website for free. They can be notified of upcoming public bids for free. They can view your public advertisement, they can receive addenda, and they can place electronic bids at no cost at all. If the vendor decides they want to use my site to download the documents, that's where we have the fee, similar to like your architect charges fees for their documents. So it's similar to that. But if that vendor wants to get those documents either directly from you or from the architect engineer, they could have used all of our other services, including placing that electronic bid at no cost to them. It's when we start sending out the notifications with 800 agencies, your vendors and your local vendors, if we come in and help you to train them, will find that they can see projects they never even knew existed in the city right next door, and they may want to grow their business because now they're notified of stuff they didn't know of. When they start seeing those types of notifications coming in, it now becomes easier to start thinking about whether or not you want to use my website to download documents because, quite frankly, you don't want to be getting them from 4 or 5 different cities and having to drive or having them mailed to you. It's easier than use my site. That's when we would earn their fee, is if we show that we can help them grow their business, if we show them that we are easier to use than the typical process as it is today, that's when they'll start to say, okay, I'll just sign up for that part of the service at Central Bidding. But until they do that, they use the rest of my services at no cost to them as well.
Another question. So they have to be a vendor to register on your site to see what we have out there for bidding?
No, anybody can sign up on my website.
Anybody
at
can
no
do it?
cost. Yes, ma'am.
Any
Any
regular
interested party.
person?
Any interested
Any
party.
agency? Okay,
Yes, we don't restrict anybody who can use that. We don't restrict who can see your documents. We don't restrict any of that. Public bid law would not be very happy with me for that. So anybody can see that, anybody can register on my website, and again, it would be free to anybody who wants to do that. So anybody who wants to see it, who wants to track, who wants to know what's going on, can easily just register at my website. It's a very simple process. But we have to assure that you have the Uniform Electronic Transaction Act and you have the e-sign Act, which is basically going to tell you that we have to follow certain rules to be able to show that the transactions that take place on my website are legally compliant with the UETA and the e-sign Act. Therefore, they have to be registered to go to see a certain point. If somebody looks at your project, we have to be able to send them an addenda if you post one. To do that, I have to have their information. So they give me their email address, their name, that type of thing, so that I can send them those kind of notifications. So it's in compliance with the UETA and the e-sign Act that they do have to register to be able to see that. But again, registration is at no cost.
and then if we use your services, it would be only you. That, would that be our only way of, advertising?
No.
Okay, so we
No.
can advertise.
We would still do our
elsewhere.
normal posting.
Okay.
And I say normal, but this allows us to modify it. So we would be allowed to post on the county's website now, as opposed to spending $400 on a legal notice in the newspaper. So we would still do our new normal notifications. It's not as though Mr. Fleming's company is the only way that we are going to advertise that we have bid documents out, or a bid, or we've got requests for qualifications. He's just one more avenue to allow us to attract more qualified vendors to the city of Archer.
Okay,
And give you a
Absolutely.
choice.
okay.
And we always like to say this, we're an option, not a requirement. So you go about doing the things the same way you are, what you're doing is giving them another option if they choose to use that. But they are not required to in any way.
Okay, so would this be a company that, I guess it's for the lawyer, say for instance, we have these parcels of land now that we're going to be able to sell, would this be a company that did something totally different?
It's different, and
Okay.
here's why. You all have a policy about disposition of real property, and you're required to post it on govdeals.com.
Okay.
That's what your
Okay.
policy says.
Okay.
So his is, if, for example, we were gonna pave a road in the city of Archer somewhere, and we wanted to solicit contractors to come in and tell us how much is it gonna cost to pave this road. We would post our public notice on the county's website.
Okay.
We would post our bid documents through Mr. Fleming's company. His company notifies every vendor who does ground paving.
Okay,
So I believe and I don't want to tell Mr. Fleming's anecdotes, so I'll let him tell it.
I can give you one example. A small town here in Florida had gone out to bid for a project 3 different times, and they had only gotten maybe 1 bid or 2 bidders on all 3 of those. They were all over budget. They had to throw out all bids, and they just tried to make changes in going out to bid. They tried us on their 4th bid. On the 4th bid, they had 13 general contractors show up to their pre-bid meeting. 8 people who bid on the project, 2 of them were under budget. They're now very happily going out to do it. We had one rural fire department that went out to build a new building. They usually get 0 to 1 bid. And knowing there's no competition, they're always high. Through our website, they wound up getting 4 bids, 3 electronic. Again, the best bid was under budget by 20%. They were very happy with that. So we have ability to show that we did this, and these are both Florida entities. So we do this all the time, and that's the whole point of this, is to bring more people in, to bring competition. Competition breeds, better pricing, because people see that they're going to have to compete against somebody else. And there's no way to know who you're bidding against if you're using electronic, because if it's all a public bid opening, and I hate to say it this way, but this happens, you have people who could potentially have 2 different bids with them. Depending on who they see in that room, they could put in one bid or the other, depending on how tight they think they need to be to get the project. Electronic bidding does away with that, because you have no idea who you got a bid from electronically. So you have to give your best price every time if you want to get that bid.
So I understand now this is company pretty much for projects that we're, okay.
You can use us for projects, some people
Hiring.
use us for different things that they wanna buy, but yeah, like, we work with a lot of school boards who use us for food and cafeteria equipment and school buses and things like that. We work with sheriff's offices who buy cars and Harley Davidsons and weapons and things like that through us. So we work with all kinds of entities, airports who do hangar work, things like that. We work with all the kind of entities you could possibly imagine in the 800 agencies that we work with. So people buy everything you could ever imagine through us.
So for projects and purchases.
Yes. And one of the great things too is if, you had damage and you had to go through FEMA for reimbursements, there are certain requirements they have. You had to send it out, the information to a certain number of people. Certain number of people had to look at it. Well, my website, that's all taken care of because you send it out through me. There's going to be 1,000 different email addresses and companies that are members of my website that we've sent it out to. There's going to be who knows how many hundreds or thousands that have come back and look at it. Well, you've already taken care of that front end of FEMA because you can use my website to show here's all the people we notified and here's all the people that looked at it. So you've got part of that already complied for just by using my website.
Okay. Thank you for answering all my questions.
Okay.
Any questions from you, Vice Mayor?
No,
Okay.
I like it.
Does this extend into the public notifications we provide for special elections and those kind of things also, or no, it's to the RFP and the bidding process?
For the purposes of Mr. Fleming's presentation today, it is just projects.
Projects, okay.
This has been the slight hang-up in switching us over to entirely electronic. I think the idea was we wanted to decide whether we were gonna do it all at once, as opposed to having this piecemeal, ordinances are getting on the county website, but we're doing RFPs in the newspaper, and at that point, are we being genuine with the public as to where to find these notices? So we've been really looking for this last little piece, such that we, as the city attorney's office, could present the idea to you all as kind of a one-stop shop. Do you all want to move over to electronic notifications to save the money? So this is the last linchpin that we would, I say need, but we would proffer before making that leap to entirely electronic notices
For everything?
for everything.
Okay.
Absent,
But
there
that's
may be
still
rules
possible?
about
That's an avenue we can go down? at
the
some
electronic,
future date?
yeah, yes.
Okay, Mm-hmm. okay.
I would have to double check budget stuff, like things like that. I'd have to read through the trim notices and whatnot to see if there are requirements that they do still be physically published in the newspaper, or if there are
Okay.
exceptions to that.
That's the lead into my question.
Sure,
Like,
so, I mean, that piece of it, there's still a question about, and I can
Okay.
bring back some information on that.
But if we had this component considered in place, it would,
It would be the last hiccup
Okay.
of things.
okay, thank you. Do you have references where you have entities that have complete electronic publication? of
About
what I
800
just-
of them.
What?
Not with me, but I have about 800 of them, yes.
Okay,
And I'm happy to,
Could
the
you-
town I mentioned, the fire department I mentioned, all those here right in Florida.
I-
City of Pensacola, I got plenty of
yeah,
them.
I don't need off
local
the
and
top of
not
your head, but
local.
maybe if you could provide those, whether we wanted to look through all 800 or not, but
Yeah.
could you provide those? as
Happy to
reference
provide those
me?
for you, yes.
Okay, thank you. If you could give that to,
Mr. Mayor, the city of Stark and the city of High Springs also utilize his services, so I know Stark is a little ways away, so they're not really a true sister city.
Right.
But if you wanted to instruct Deanna to reach out to those city managers to see their take on it as well, I think as,
I would, if that's acceptable to everyone else by consensus, just to find out if they're pleased with it. Okay. Do you know how long Stark and High Springs have?
High Springs is new.
Yes,
Okay.
Stark has been
about a year plus.
Okay, just curious. Okay, thank you.
City of Hope is, City of High Springs is posting their first project. They're being trained tomorrow. So they'll be posting their first project this week. So you can talk to them about, even though they just signed last week, they're already going to bid this week. So you can talk to them about the ease of the process. They'll be trained tomorrow. So if you follow up after, Wednesday or so, you'll actually be able to talk to them about just how well that went.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Mayor, and of course, you all have a contingency right now that all contracts are to come back in front of you. So we would be happy to bring this back to you at the next meeting. I can tell you that I've looked at the contract and it's 2 pages and it explicitly says that there's no cost to the city. So obviously you'll see it, you'll look at it, but I did want to flag that having looked at the contract ahead of time so that you all knew that this is on its face truly a no cost item to the city.
Okay. But a potential savings.
Exactly.
Right, for the future, another cost containment effort, okay? All right, do I want to entertain a motion for us to proceed with this and have it brought back to us at our first meeting in March?
So
Country?
moved.
All right, I have a motion from Vice Mayor, I have a second from Commissioner Green. Any further discussion from the dais? Any discussion from constituents in the audience? Hello, Ms. Costello.
Hi.
Yes, ma'am.
Lori Costello, citizen. You said that you contact your vendors, so those are the people that signed up with you. And you only contact the vendors that signed up with you?
The people who are currently signed up with us, yes, but what we also offer the city is to come back and do training for the vendors. So if they bring the vendor community that they work with currently in, they would also be part of that notification process.
Okay, but so you gave one example. So if they needed paving done, you don't look for a list and send electronically to a list of pavers that might not be one of your,
When the project is added to my website, you can add whoever you want with an email that would also be notified the minute it goes out. So, yes, those vendors would be notified. They may not be a member of my website, but they're notified because that email address for that vendor that's already known would be added to that.
In the group,
Notification.
send out as a group,
Absolutely.
like all pavers in our
Yes.
state of Florida.
You have an option to be able to upload all your vendors by category.
Mhm.
And if you click a button, all those would be added to the notification process. So yes, your local vendors.
You do
would be
that. I
notified.
think that's the body of your question. Ms.
It goes
Costello.
out through our email process, yes.
we have to send the email to him in order to have it sent.
No, no. Well, I would assume that the city knows who the vendors are that they've used.
I would assume so.
Then they can easily add that email address when they are working with us and uploading the project to my website.
Right. So they have to send you the email address.
No, it's
No,
the city
okay.
itself that would actually be doing that.
Right, exactly. That's what I meant. I'm
Okay,
sorry.
yeah, the city themselves would
Yeah.
upload that email
Yeah.
address,
Yeah.
and therefore, when it is posted and going live to the website, all the people that are currently members of my website and all the people
Plus-
who are added to that email would all be notified at the same time.
It's a cross-check, so.
How many vendors do you have within a 50-mile radius of this town?
I would have to look that up. I don't know the answer to that question.
Would you be able to get it?
Sure.
Okay. Vendors and what they are
Yes.
within 50-mile radius?
What they registered with, yes. I can
Okay.
also tell you their status from whether they are, minority-owned, women-owned, veteran-owned, all
Well,
of that.
just-
So we have all of that address, all that
Just
information.
what they do and how many within 50 miles?
I can do that.
All right, thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ms. Costello. Anyone else? Yes, sir, Mr. Lewandowski.
Yeah, Bill Lewandowski, citizen. I think it's a great idea, at least on the surface anyway. Two quick questions. Number one is the website, I'm going to ask him the question, I know I'm supposed, is the website certified to meet federal standards for disabled persons to access it? So that's question number one. Because that's an issue for cities.
We've been through the process where we've been certified that blind people
Exactly.
can use the site, things of that nature, yes.
Good, okay, good. And the question number two is,
Sorry. Stop recording. Excuse us for a moment.
I think they want to buy us a recorder.
you might as well sit down, I'll be back up. They may take-
Thank you, Mr. Lewandowski. If you can pause for a moment.
There's a group of people that just go out and sue cities all the time. Makes the lawyers rich. Yeah, I mean, I can understand.
Either that or just get a little bigger camera and put up.
That's what I said, just a little push on, have the
Yeah, just
time when
leave it on the whole time.
City Start does that.
Take
just
it
as a
out.
backup.
Yeah. And I guarantee you,
We've
if
had,
and when we
we've
do
had too
that,
many-
it'll never go down again.
we've had too many hiccups. Yeah. Thank you, Mr.
Yeah, no
Lewandowski.
problem. Second question is have you had any challenges from any vendors in the state of Florida? And if so, were you able to prevail?
We have had challenges not to my website. We've had challenges where a vendor challenged a bid award saying that one bidder was not certified to do the business, things of that nature. But it never had a challenge
For
on my
process,
website.
yeah,
for my
only process is what I was concerned about. Okay, so in the
Correct.
state of Florida, you have not been challenged in
Never.
terms of process?
Never was.
Okay, sure, thank you.
Yes, sir, Mr. Arnold, welcome.
Gene Arnold. Are you guys based out of Baton Rouge? Is that your home office?
Baton Rouge, Louisiana is my home office.
Okay. Did you come from Baton Rouge?
I did. I came here for this meeting.
Impressive. All right. Demand Star. Familiar with them?
Yes.
Okay. They're a competitor. They're used by the city of Gainesville. Have for a long time. Bid Express. Are you familiar with them?
Yes.
City of Newberry uses them. This is a good idea to use a service. For whatever reason, I think Blue Book might even have a bid service.
I think they're a notification that they don't receive.
It's confusing. But with that said, so there's, as a contractor, you see a lot of these kind of portals or bid type services. I'm not familiar with yours. It sounds like it's brand new in High Springs, and I don't personally do any business up in Stark. But, so I don't know how, Bid Express is not as convenient as Demand Star. So from a vendor standpoint, it's very cumbersome to use Bid Express. I talked to the procurement person in Newberry, and she recognized it was very cumbersome. Demand Star is a little slicker, so I don't know how yours stacks up to that. But it is a good idea. So just a thought that Demand Star is more widely known. I don't know about the fees and as far as the vendor standpoint. But that's my 2 cents on it. Thanks.
Thank you. Anyone else? Okay, let's go to a vote. Those in favor of having this brought back to us in the form of a contract review from legal at our first March meeting, say aye.
Aye.
Aye as well. Nays like sign. Hearing none. Motion's approved 4-0.
So
Thank you very much.
before you have a seat, or you can have a seat, you did say that we or the citizens are able to look up your company, though,
Absolutely.
right? Okay, so other questions, if we had any, or to see how easy it is to use, we could probably just go.
What I would invite you to do is call, I'll give you my business card. I might not be there, I travel a lot doing this kind of stuff. But we'll do a training session for you as well, show you how to use the website. The one thing about our site is, if you can't use it in 3 to 5 minutes to place a bid, we've done something wrong. So that's what I can tell you. You're not filling out a bunch of information. One of the things I like the way we did this is this, that we're not telling them anything new or to change something. So you as a vendor are not coming on my website and answering a bunch of questions that are different than the paperwork they have. And the reason for that is, if you're going to do electronic and paper bids, they better be the same. Because that's when you do get into trouble with vendors who have placed a bid saying, well, the requirements are not the same of the paper bid versus the electronic bid, therefore you show favoritism. So on my website, what you do is, when you look at the documents they've uploaded, it's the exact same documents you would have filled out on a paper bid or an electronic bid. What you then do is you upload that bid on my website. You have an outside the envelope you fill out, just like you would a paper bid, and all you do is submit the bid through that process. So you're not answering a bunch of questions, you're not typing in a bunch of information on my website. You're basically doing the same thing you do with a paper bid. That's it. So it takes 3 to 5 minutes as long as you know how to upload a document. That's what I like about the way we did this, because in 800 agencies, the large majority of them do both paper and electronic. And the reason we haven't had a problem in the past is because we can show you that's the exact same process regardless of which one you go with, so there's no favoritism on the website. So to answer your question, vendors, we're happy to show them that. I can tell you that High Springs, what they have us doing is coming back in March, and actually they're inviting their vendors in for a training session where we can show them all how to sign up and how to do things and how to get to the point where they can download the bids and all that. So we'll do training sessions for your vendors if you'd like, which is also kind of a unique thing that we do. We'll come back and do that for you in your city, because you may have people that aren't as familiar with electronics, and we might be able to help them get past that. But I also want to show them how to look at other people's bid postings besides just yours, because that's what helps them grow using my company.
Okay, thank you. That's true and good.
Usually they'll have commodity codes, and you'll put in there paving or earthwork or whatever it is you do. And as a vendor, you can search for that, or sometimes you can put a radius in there. You can do some different things.
If you do commodity codes, anytime somebody posts something that match your commodity codes, you get one email per night, all listed down that match your commodity codes for that.
Is there a way to filter that, though? Because I wouldn't want to know about things in Louisiana.
There are ways.
Okay. And then the other thing was, when you talk about uploading, where it's a little tricky, and I think Bid Express has issues, if you're doing a bid with a bunch of unit costs, those unit costs need to make sure that they match what you have as a paper type of requirement.
See, on my website, you're gonna basically be putting it on that piece of paper and then uploading that piece of paper as one document. You're not gonna be filling out line
Okay.
item by line item by line item, because you're 100% right. Then you have the problem of the document you filled out online and the document you filled out in paper don't match which one's the right one.
Right.
And you have issues that way as well. That's why.
With
don't do
math
that.
and different things.
Right, so,
Okay.
so we've eliminated those issues by saying, okay, if you're gonna go paper and electronic, use this format. If you're going electronic only, sure, we've got something where you go in and fill out all electronic, but then you don't upload a paper. So we're saying do one or the other. In this case, it would be where you're just filling out the paper document, uploading a paper document, and doing it once, not twice.
Okay.
And doing it twice also takes you more time. It shouldn't.
Yeah.
Bidding should not have to take you any more time because you use electronic.
And I appreciate the offer on the business card, but I'll just get on there and just sign up and see how hard it is.
Absolutely.
Okay, thank you.
To Mr. Arnold's point as well, on the Bid Express side, and I can speak to this because I obviously do city attorney work for Newberry, it's not user-friendly on the city side either. We've been having it's been a tough adjustment period getting used to Bid Express in the city of Newberry. So, I mean, the city is obviously doing it and they have great staff, but I mean, it's tough on the user side. So to hear that it's also kind of complicated on the contractor side is not reassuring either.
Okay. Thank you very much. Okay, did we complete the motion? We did, didn't we?
We did it. We did it.
We did it.
Yeah, I just made a comment after.
Okay, all right. We have a motion and a second. Let's go to vote.
We voted.
And we voted.
We voted 4-0.
So we're done. Okay, thank you very much. Stay with me now. All right, agenda number 2, Mrs. Amanda Hagan, resolution number 2025-07, accounting and consulting services.
May I read the resolution by title only, Mr. Mayor?
Yes, ma'am,
This
please.
is resolution number 2025-07, a resolution of the City of Archer, Florida, approving that certain agreement between the city and Amanda Hagan, CPA, for accounting and consulting services, making certain findings of fact in support of the city approving said agreement, recognizing the authority of the mayor to execute and bind the city to said agreement, directing the mayor to execute and bind the city to said agreement, repealing all prior resolutions in conflict, and providing for an effective date. And Ms. Hagan is here to speak with you all this evening.
Okay. Would you like to introduce yourself? Thank you for joining us.
Absolutely. Well, good evening, Mayor and Commissioners. My name is Amanda Hagan, and I appreciate the opportunity to contribute my expertise in governmental accounting to the City of Archer. Just a little bit about my background. I graduated from Trenton High School before earning my Bachelor of Arts with a minor in accounting from St. Leo University. After college, I pursued my CPA license and later became a certified government finance officer. I began my career as an external auditor and then primarily audited governmental entities before transitioning to work for a local governmental entity. With over 17 years of experience in governmental accounting, I'm happy to assist the City of Archer with its financial records just over the next few months. I'll primarily be focusing on bank reconciliations. And just personally, outside of my professional life, I'm a wife and a mom, and I enjoy reading, spending time outdoors, and watching my son play t-ball. And I look forward to working with you, and I'm happy to answer any questions that you may have.
Thank you very much.
Mr. Mayor?
Yes.
I apologize, I should have said this. The contract for Ms. Hagan is the same as Mr. Lee's. I will note that as opposed to $95 an hour, it's an $80 an hour rate. It still has that $5,000 a month cap, but I did want to flag the lower hourly rate as that was a change to this document.
Okay, and with that, my first question, and then I'll give it to my dais. You currently still are employed with
City of
City of
Newberry.
Newberry in
Yes,
your
sir.
governmental role there?
Yes,
Okay.
sir.
And my second question, just in your conversations with the new interim city manager, Dallas Lee, and his tenure here with us and his consulting services, do you feel that what he shared with you and the direction and degree of corrective actions and reviewing things that we've entertained with him, that you would stay at that same commitment? And I mean, I'm not trying to cap you at $5,000 a month, but we've already had our local news saying that we're going to make a decision on someone in a consulting capacity of $5,000 a month and spend that.
saw it.
And I want for correction, since Channel 20 is here with us, to reiterate that Mr. Dallas Lee has not cost us any more than $3,063.75 in one monthly period. And then I commend you also for consideration of even reducing that rate. He was charging us down to 80, which is furthering our cost corrective steps and actions to gain the same and more with your expertise. So I thank you for that, and I just want to make sure you're clear on his flexibility and how he's operated, because he's given us anywhere from 4 to 6 hours a week to 15 hours a week. But in no way has he ever come close to $5,000 cap. It's just a contractual situation that we want to protect you and your services, so that if we had something that we were digging into deeply or whatever and needed you, that you could avail yourself and still be, within the hours of flexibility for your full-time job in Newberry as well. So
Yes,
I
sir.
thank you for that flexibility, and I thank our staff for continuing that, because I think it's worked well so far to accomplish what we've accomplished. Any questions from the
May I
dais?
say something, Mayor Hope?
Yes, ma'am.
Vanda and Dallas have already come and met the staff.
Okay.
And then last Thursday, Amanda came by herself to help us with payroll, because we had to do a bunch of payroll deductions and just put the codes in there, and she spent quite a while with Justin going through it.
Absolutely.
So she's already been
And she's
here.
training our accounting clerk as well, and Justin.
Right,
and so-
helping out with that, yes, and Amanda and I spoke about it as well, as she's probably gonna do 5 hours a week, because like she said, she has a small child.
And I'm certainly not
So
asking that
she'll
from
be
the scale of
way
economics,
under.
but
Yes.
it just, concerns me sometimes when misinformation is given out.
I agree.
And it's not anywhere in the corrective action steps that we've taken thus far. All due respect to Channel 20, but get the information right before we post things on the noon news. Thank you. And thank you very much for being here. Any other questions from anyone else?
Sometimes Dallas, be in Newberry, online. I don't know how they do it. Remote. That's the good word. Now, are you going to be able to come to Archer any?
I would prefer, I spoke to Miss Deanna, I'd prefer to come on site at first, just to kind of get familiar, work with the staff, see the processes, and then eventually, and this is just going to be for a short period of time, probably about 3 months, until Dallas is able to resume duties after he is no longer the interim city manager. So once he's done with that role, then he'll resume his role here. I just want to fill in, help as much as I can. That way, whenever
Keep the
Dallas,
momentum going. We appreciate
right,
that so
when
much.
Dallas is able to pick back up, you're further along the journey.
Okay, thank you.
Yes,
And
ma'am.
continue our training with our accounting clerk that's present and in-house now. Thank you. Okay, any other questions? Any questions from the constituents in the audience?
Mr. Mayor, and I apologize, Ms. Fiore, just really quick. Dallas did submit his essentially termination letter, so I do want to flag that contract is terminated, so you won't have two running at the same time. Thank you, Ms. Fiore, I apologize.
Karen Fiore, citizen.
Welcome.
Thanks. I have no issues with the resolution. I think Amanda's gonna do an amazing job. Lee did an amazing job. I think you're in good hands. Commissioner Hope, you did just state that before we put anything out in public, and before we print anything, before we say anything, that we should make sure that everything is accurate. So I asked, did anyone read the contract?
Yes.
So this is the same contract that I got up here back in November and complained about and pointed out all the errors in Lee's contract. So Lee's contract is signed and posted on your website with all those errors still in the contract.
Okay.
And so now here it is again. So I'm gonna go through this really quick. There's no contractor's proposal that's stated in here. There's no proposal in here. Section 2, services, C, you reference section 5. It's not section 5, it's section 4. on section 4, compensation and method of payment. So this, you have the sections wrong. It's section 4, it's 4B and 4C, and you guys have 5B, 5C. There's a lot here that someone needs to go through. What probably happened was we cut and pasted and the sections got messed up. But now this is the second one that you're now adopting and no one noticed any of these changes. It goes on in section, there is no section 7A1, so it should be 5A1. And again, this sounds petty, but we're under a microscope. And as a commission and your staff, if we're not reading through all this, and no offense to the attorney, but everyone makes mistakes. If we're just taking everything that the attorneys provide us and saying it's correct without reviewing it, then we're failing this community. And if you don't have the time, if you don't have the desire to read through this in detail, and as a citizen, I'm having to go through here and make the changes, then maybe it's time to resign. This is your responsibility. It's not my responsibility to go through. And I would ask that this gets corrected before the signatures, because again, lease contract is signed with all these errors on your website. So that's what I have to say.
Thank you.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, ma'am.
I'd be happy to make the changes that need to be made prior to execution.
Okay.
No problem.
That would, and present it at our next meeting with the fee service that's identified. Yeah.
My only concern is the delay. I don't know that you all want to delay this another meeting and not have someone on staff. The errors seem to be Scrivener's errors. I don't see any reason why this can't get approved tonight and then executed upon the correction of the Scrivener's errors.
Okay, thank you. Yes, ma'am. Ms. Costello?
Lori Costello, citizen. Boy, I agree with Karen full-heartedly.
Then we should resign?
What's the problem is you guys, when we come up and speak to you, it goes in one ear and out the other, over and over and over and over again. And it gets so frustrating for us because there's mistake after mistake after mistake. So let me I'll save that for public comments. But I will say the statement of work, this is huge. I guess I didn't look at Dallas's contract, but this is almost the full thing that our accountant used to do and work at 50 hours a week. And she's going to be responsible for all of this?
Mr. Mayor?
Statement of work?
I'm
That's
happy to
huge.
respond. It's a blanket. It's not that she's going to be doing all of that.
It's a
We didn't
scope
want
of
there
her.
to be something that she needed to help with, and she
And it
wasn't
not-
able to help with it because it wasn't in her scope of work.
Oh, I see. Okay. I looked at that and I was
And
just
it's a
like,
3-month period until we return with Mr. Dallas Lee.
I just heard
So
that,
that
right.
our momentum continues at the pace that we're trying to do to take corrective action steps. Ms. Costello, continue, please. Anything else?
No, thank you.
Thank you for your input. Anyone else, please? Yes, sir, Mr. Gene Arnold.
I'm aware that she's at the city of Newberry and maybe an assistant city manager role of some sort. Okay, Director of Finance. Did you say you are a CPA? Okay. Did you all get a resume from her?
Yes.
Was it on the website? Okay. I apologize, I didn't see her resume, but,
You can have mine if you need it.
okay, wonderful. How did y'all land on the $80 versus the $95 this time?
Actually, Amanda
Offered
recommended,
that, sir.
offered.
As a
$80.
corrective action step in the continued cost containment
Wonderful.
reduction. Yes, sir.
And she mentioned that she was not going to be working from home, at least initially. I don't know. I've spoken to you before. I think it's good that she's in here as much as possible, if not all the time, to have that direction. At one point, I saw on your Facebook page that you had advertised for an accountant of some kind. I don't know if it's part-time. What do you remember on that?
It was a public works, part-time public works
Public Works
employee.
Assistant.
Is there any, rather than paying the $80, and I'm sure she's gonna do a great job, Are you looking for someone to pay full-time, I don't know, $40? I don't know what that rate is. Is that something of bringing kind of someone to replace Cindy, what she was doing?
But Justin's replaced Cindy. He's not making $40 an hour.
Okay.
Making a lot less.
But eventually, are we just always going to have either this young lady or Dallas on staff for eternity, or is there a phasing that out?
Eventually it'll be phased out, yes, but Dallas will be doing like the heavy hitting for a little while. We haven't brought that contract to the commission yet.
Okay. Again, I just wanted to kind of get an idea that we're not talking next year, this time, and we're still paying somebody $80 or $95 an hour for $5,000 a month, when maybe we get someone that really knows their stuff for $40, and they come in here and they dig into it like Ms. Fiore seems to always do.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Okay, we'll go to a vote.
We have a motion?
Huh?
Do we have a
Do we
motion?
have a motion to consider Ms. Amanda Hagan in Resolution 2025-07 with the Scribner corrections to the contract presented to us this evening,
So moved.
including rate of pay?
So moved.
I have a motion from Vice Mayor. Do I have a second?
A second.
A second from Commissioner Penny. Any further discussion? Hearing none, let's go to a vote. All those in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Aye as well. Nays, like sign. Hearing none. Thank you very much. Thank you, Ms. Hagan, very much for being with us. Next on our agenda is Mr. Leroy Marshall. He's the Director of Resource Management and Project Division of Swanee River Water Management District and Holly Hill Stormwater Pond Improvements. He's with us this evening. Thank you, sir, for joining us.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, members of the council. Yes, my name is Leroy Marshall. I am the Division Director for Resource Management and Projects Division at the Swanee River Water Management District. In August of 2024, our governing board authorized our staff to enter into contract with Archer, the city of Archer, for the Holly Hills modification that was submitted through an application to the district. We have since August been working with your city staff to try to get under contract, get that agreement signed so that we can move forward and with that project. I understand in talking with your city manager, there may be some issues with signing the contract because the contract does require a 50% match. So we had some conversations, I believe it was last week or maybe the week before. And it is our position to try to work with the city any way we can to try to get this agreement signed and moving forward. That was basically the conversation we had. Our initial discussion was to have, for every invoice that comes in, the district would pay 50% and the city would pay 50%. Through the discussions, we found that may not be a way that the city can move forward. So we are, we're here today to let you know that, however we can get to an agreement to get this project moving forward, the district is okay with trying to find a way to get under contract and get that moving forward. We talked about some alternatives that the city has. These monies are not restricted in that they can't be used as a match. So if the city were to go, for instance, and apply for a Resilient Florida grant through DEP, and they require a match, then they could use the district money as a match for that grant, and then the city would not be out any money. That is, there are options like that as well. The issue you may have with that is Resilient Florida, in those, you have AWS in Springs and Resilient Florida, all of those state grants, the application periods the date to submit is like July, and they may not announce until next year. And our agreement cannot last that long without, some kind of signature or whatever. That offer, typically would not stay open through fiscal years. Our fiscal year ends in September. So again, it's an opportunity to work with the city and your staff to try to get this agreement signed so that we can move forward. And I was just here to inform you that we're here to try to make something happen the best way we can.
Thank you. And I will start out and then let everyone else share. I have two concerns. The number one concern is we do not have the match of $55,930. It would have, in my opinion, it would have to be through a dovetailing of a Resilient Florida grant and then certainly have the contracted services that watch this, make sure the timing is appropriate so that Swanee River Water Management gets the documentation that we have this other grant to match the match to be able to have this project go forward. The second concern I have is this is certainly a priority need for an area in Archer, but we have already expensed $83,000 and now we're going to spend another $110,000, which it's not that it's not needed, but based on our financial issues and priorities at hand, it is a big decision to make that commitment. The third question I have, and again, I'm not clear on it, is this a continuation with Kimley Horn and their project that's out there? Are we going to make that change between Kimley Horn and Woodard and Kern, for Woodard and Kern to follow this project through? And again, I'm looking at you, Manager Altop, because I'm not clear on that at all, and I don't know if the diocese is either.
Kimley Horn has nothing to do with this particular agreement at the moment.
Okay.
So I know the attorney's office is still looking at how to make that switch. But just a little tidbit, Woodard and Kern has still been doing work for free behind the scenes. They're applying for another grant for us for something totally different.
So is this a grant that Woodard and Kern has brought forward?
No, we applied for it.
We applied for this,
But it's
and
like,
they're looking for the match and the timeline now.
right.
And it's been Felicity and team at Kimley Horn who have followed it up to this juncture?
No, really much, I've been following it up with Swanee River.
Direct.
Staff,
So
yes.
Felicity and team at Kimley Horn have nothing to do with this?
At this time,
At
no.
this time?
They do not.
And again, that's just from
Yeah.
my comfort zone as we're in transition with that as well and what direction to go. I'm sorry.
No, I was just gonna say that's on the the first March meeting
Okay.
as an item
And
for discussion.
And I apologize, sir, to be bringing all this forward, but we've got, as usual, many, many things going on at the same time and, under review. Yes, ma'am.
That, what is on?
I'm sorry, the Woodard Curran Kimley Horn question.
And the cost.
Sorry, sneak peek is that we're probably going to do a piggyback for the time being, but we are going to have to go out for qualifications because there's certain, I think it's FEMA now that has an issue with piggybacks.
Mm-hmm.
So we don't want to be in a situation where we've piggybacked for their services and then we can't get FEMA reimbursement. So the thought process on a temporary basis to present to you guys at the next meeting is to do a temporary piggyback just long enough for us to send out an RFQ and allow those quotes to come in and qualifications and whatnot, and then for you, I'll make that decision. But that's March meeting.
If I,
Yes, ma'am.
sorry. I did contact Gina at the county, because, we have the infrastructure and the wild spaces money. She said that it is an acceptable project, but we have to approve countywide impact. But right before I came in here, we had a meeting with the ISOB, the Infrastructure Tax Oversight Board, and they put us on a 12-month probation.
Okay.
And all projects have to go through them for approval. So that's an option. If you guys approve it, we could think about as
As
well.
a source for the
'Cause,
match.
yeah, I just moved money today, so I think that funds up to 65,000, which some of it isn't infrastructure, it's separated.
Of the due diligence and returning 300,000 for future release.
Right, right, so.
As we
yes.
move forward with that corrective action step.
Correct, yes.
And again, Mr. Marshall, I'm not trying to put you on the spot, but I need to have your opinion of something. Do you feel that Swanee River Water Management would allow us this ability to try to negotiate through our corrective action steps financially to get approval to use wild spaces, funds and things like that, as well as look for the additional application for grants for through the DEP? Do you feel that they would be accepting that? When you talked about there need to be some document of our intention, is that the kind of outline that you want from us going forward to Swanee River Water Management to show our due diligence? I mean, besides signing off that we can do it, but, I wouldn't be fair to Swanee River Water Management and the review board to see, the complexity in what we're trying to do, yet still, not lose a stormwater grant opportunity to improve the neighborhood. So,
Yes, sir. We, when we spoke to your city manager, we stated that as long as you were moving forward with trying
options
to.
and opportunities to create the match.
Yes, sir.
Is what we're trying to do.
Is that we would keep the ability to go under contract open. But we did discuss that the September 30th
Is the deadline.
I hate to say deadline, but we definitely need to have something
Okay.
signed by the end of our fiscal year.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
And that's September
Yes.
30th?
September 30th.
30th, okay. And again, we go through this exercise every time there's a grant process and what's our new deadline, what's our extension? So that's where I was taking down that bunny trail, so thank you. All right, is there an opportunity for a motion to consider this? For further discussion and open it up to our constituents in the audience as well.
Yes, so moved.
Have a motion from Vice Mayor Iris Bailey
A second.
and a second from Commissioner Penny. Any further discussion from the dais and understanding the complexity in this as we try to accomplish it with our deadline? Or the consideration like we've had with other grants and have to walk away from it at this time. I mean, that's our option, folks, but. There's options, and it sounds like Manager Altop, I appreciate your efforts and due diligence, and there seems to be a fund source, with approval from the county, the Big Brother concept overlooking what we're doing, which is fair and equitable. But total transparency as we move forward with that, so. Yeah.
Mr. Mayor, I apologize. This is the first time I'm seeing it. Do you mind if I ask him a clarifying
Oh,
question?
absolutely, go ahead.
You said you need this document signed by the end of your fiscal year. Was that what you said? I apologize.
No.
This match
The plan
agreement?
would be, how are we gonna achieve the match is what I.
Okay, so we're not entering in, the motion isn't to enter into this agreement.
It's to proceed forward, it's to proceed forward with looking at the options to get a documentation in place of where that fund source is going to come.
Okay, I
To get that-
appreciate the clarification on the motion. I just wanted to make sure I understood.
Because that's looking to Manager Altop to get that approval or have a special meeting or whatever we need to do with the county for that fund source to come from, our account that's in Wild Spaces at this point, as well as Woodard and Curran to look at this grant source from DEP that you offered, tonight as an option to match the match, if you will. So two things could be happening at the same time, but, we would put that in an outline to get to you. That's what I'm asking for the motion and the second, to be able to act on this sometime in March is, we have 2 meetings in March, but I don't know if that can be accomplished or not. We have a joint meeting with the county on March 17th, and this could be one of the, again, priorities that we're speaking about, to get to the right source at the county level to get this approved. But especially when we can share with them the project at hand and what we're trying to do for the county.
Thank you. I appreciate the clarification.
And can we do that, by the end of March to be able to give an appropriate answer back to Swanee River Water Management and the plan, so. Is, the motion still stands?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Anyone from the public would like to speak to this? Thank you, Mr. Marshall. Yes, sir, Mr.
Yeah,
Lewandowski.
Lewandowski citizen. So I just had to ask for a little clarification on the use of the Wild Spaces funds. So if that's used, now that fund hasn't been paid back yet, and it'll be paid back at some point in the future, as I understand.
Have
Is
a
that correct?
commitment of the 300,000 within a 2-year period? Or is it
I think the county said 3.
3?
3-year period.
We already
okay.
have an open account with funds going into it.
Right, that part I understood.
And-
So I wasn't sure how, if the total amount that they require is not in that fund, is that sort of like a promissory note to them? So that, in other words, how much what was the total amount they were asking for, 55,000?
55,000. We have
55,000.
65,000 in the special account.
Not all of it's, some of it's infrastructure, some of it's wild spaces, but by the time we get ready to have to start paying it, we should have the 9 to cover it.
To offer.
Okay, so all the money doesn't have to be paid back first. If there's money in the
No.
kitty, that can be used.
And that's why Big Brother,
Okay.
the county has to approve this exception based on the project at hand to try to accomplish it.
Got it. All right, thank you for the clarification.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
We're still accountable for the $300,000 replacement at the end of 3 years. Anyone else? Okay, hearing none, all in favor of the motion to move forward with this, say aye.
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 I'm sorry, I was a little late.
Was your, an aye? Yeah?
Yeah, that was,
Just-
this was just to move forward for further discussion.
Right, with the target being the end of March, to have an agreement that's been approved, hopefully through our discussions with the county on March 17th,
I got you.
to then seek the option and get that in writing to, out of
I was
respect to
just a little
Swanee River.
delayed, that's it, I was a little delayed.
Okay, aye as well?
Did it before him, so.
Yeah, I just didn't hear it, that's why I wanted to make sure that the count was correct. Nays, like sign, hearing none, motion carries 4-0 to proceed forward at this point. Thank you, Mr. Marshall,
Thank
for
you.
your attendance, for being here this evening, and for your patience. Next is something we moved to this meeting because they weren't present. I hope we have someone present this evening. Is the special event permit application for the Florida Track Club, March 8th, Archer Braid Trail, 5K and 10K run, tabled from our February 10th meeting. Welcome. Thank you, ma'am, for being here.
Hi, I'm Linda Bloom. Thank you for having me. A little bit about the Florida Track Club. We've been around for 60 years. We've been doing races all that time. Our longest running race is the 4th of July run, which will be 47 years this summer.
Wow.
The past 5 or so years, we've been doing a run every month, and we try to go to different places in the county just to make it more accessible to different people. So in January, we were in Hawthorne. In February, we were in Micanopy, and March, we'd like to do one at the Archer Braid Trailhead. And we've done one here in November 2020, and it went off without a hitch. So we'd like to try it again. It's a beautiful place to run.
Thank you.
But you had some questions, and I'm here to entertain those.
Well, I keep jumping forward to other questions from the dais before I ask mine.
Yeah, it was about parking and everything.
Yeah, we had two issues that
Okay.
would get us to the point we are this evening. One, within the request, it was asking for parking availability at our local post office and also the library, and then speaking for a private business, the Mexican restaurant. We, and I'm speaking for the diet, we are not in a position at the municipal authority to authorize federal building and spaces for parking or whatever. I will open up and say, I know that we can, with consensus from the group, offer our green belt gated fenced area that's usually used for overflow parking for our Archer Community Center.
Oh, that would be nice.
And if there was proper directional signage or whatever, that has held several, almost 100 cars there alone. So that might assist in not having to offer the post office or the library or the Mexican restaurant, which are private businesses or entities or federal spaces. And we would hope that could be considered and offered. I think that was the only other thing that we had. Was there anything else,
Yes.
folks, that we?
I'm really appreciative of that recommendation. I don't live here, I live in Gainesville, so
Yeah.
I came to scope out the area and
Yeah, and then there was just direction, the way it was speaking in this, and something about the Maddox,
There was about the, place. to
Maddox
porta
Field,
potties,
and there-
yes, and
Porta potties.
I've-
In Maddox Field and next to Save-A-Lot parking lot.
I've spoken with the manager of Save-A-Lot to see if we can put it in the, it's not really in the, it's kind of in the back in his parking lot next to the field, and I've
but
spoken.
just so it would be visible for those participants that morning up. And as a former runner, yeah, the porta potties are important, so,
Yeah, so I absolutely will have permission from the,
from Save-A-Lot for that.
for that, yes. And I've spoken with him already. I need to go there in person because we were not communicating about the spot, so I want to show him.
And again, the Maddox Field, if that's the Maddox Park Field, it's a little bit distance from the trailhead. I don't know if you'd need that if you had the Archer Community Center greenbelt fenced area that's on the east and south side of that community center.
Okay.
That might accommodate all the vehicles.
I think it will. I think it
Yeah,
will.
I mean, based on the energy behind normally the runners that we do have.
What the Maddox Field was for the other porta potty. I don't know, was that for parking too?
No, I didn't
No,
mean,
that was for parking. You were just trying to
Was that
take
for parking
access
as
for
well?
additional parking, yeah. So the porta potties would be at the back based on the approval of Save-A-Lot and their
No,
property.
okay, on the application, it's saying we are requesting place 2 porta potties at the edge of Maddox Field next to the Save-A-Lot parking lot.
And there is no Maddox Field next to the Save-A-Lot
Right.
parking lot.
And registration.
So we just, if we can take the Maddox Field out of that with,
Yeah.
your
I didn't know they was
approval.
trying to put one at the edge of Save-A-Lot and one at Maddox Field.
no, ma'am, I was trying to
too far for
describe where it
porta-
was.
Commissioner Green, that's too far for porta potties for a run.
Well, I'm just saying what's on the application.
It's-
I'm just
okay.
clarifying.
It's,
trying to clarify.
my apologies.
That's all right.
So you don't want a porta potty near Maddox Field?
Just right on the edge of the Save-A-Lot parking lot.
Okay.
But you're asking us to provide the 2 porta potties?
Oh, absolutely not.
No? Or
No.
yes?
No, we do it.
They do it. So I want, and again, my apologies for everything having a cost containment focus, but we have our financial constraints, and that was not the reason for bringing this to this evening. It was just for clarification of, the not being able to approve of federal parking lots and post offices and things, and the library and things like that, and how we could give an option of the Archer Community Center
That's a
greenbelt.
wonderful option. I really
And then
appreciate
if you
it.
provide the signing, we can certainly unlock the southern gate to where it would be egress and access easily for anybody who'd like to park there, and a safe area for people to park.
Do y'all run past Maddox Field at all?
So,
No? Do you?
I'm misunderstanding where Maddox Field, and the
Oh.
map I looked at, it was that little field by the water tower.
Where
right
the
next
tree
to
is
the
planted,
trailhead.
where the fir tree is planted, no, that's,
It's by the water tower.
yeah, that's just a right-of-way
Okay.
area for the
Okay.
city. Okay. You joining us back? We just clarified that, Maddox Field is not gonna be necessary, that she's agreeing that the Arch Community Center Greenbelt area for the additional overflow parking could accommodate if they provided the signs. I clarified that the porta potties that they would provide, and then with agreement from the private entity of Save-A-Lot to place them where they'd like or whatever. And I guess if the porta potties end up in that right-of-way little green belt that you thought was Maddox Field, I don't have, and by consensus, I don't have any problem with them being that close. Again,
She already got it. She's
okay,
already got
but
it
I mean,
for Save-A-Lot.
if it didn't, that
Oh.
green belt could be used, because that's City of Archer public right-of-way area that's maintained by us and mowed, so, and that's closer to the trailhead, so that for runners, that would be good, so,
Yeah, that would be nice. Thank you,
Okay.
sir.
yeah. All right, do I have a motion to consider and approve this?
Of course, so moved.
All right, a motion from the Vice
I
Mayor.
second.
Iris Bailey, I have a second from Commissioner Kathy Penny. Any further discussion from the dais or for clarification?
No, I just mentioned what I mentioned because I had a feeling
Microphone.
when I looked at this, I'm like, they're not familiar.
Microphone.
My mouth's so loud, I know everybody hear me. But I just mentioned, because I'm like, when I looked up, like, okay, they have no idea where this is or what they're not
apologize.
familiar with the area at all. That was the only reason I was pointing that out. But yeah.
You're not gonna run.
Maddox Field, this, so, yeah.
You're not gonna run?
I should get out there and run with y'all. I probably will only make it,
I'll hand out.
maybe a quarter of a mile.
We'll have lots of walkers for the 5K.
Okay, hearing no further comments from the dais, have any comments from the audience and the constituents? Yes, ma'am. Ms.
Lori
Costello.
Costello, citizen. They're going down the trail, right? Can this commission or manager make sure that that trail is clean before the run, please?
The 1.1 mile that we're responsible for.
Yes, please, thank you.
Is it not usually clean?
And that's the tree canopy
But
area. That's just
it
a
depends
commitment
on the
we have
weather.
with the county.
The weather,
Over
yeah.
debris
Yeah.
or something? Oh,
We,
Make sure
we, sorry,
Yes, ma'am.
we generally come out with leaf blowers ahead of the race.
All right, thank you very much. Yes, ma'am.
Karen Fiore, I think it's a great idea, it's wonderful. But I just have a question though, because I am money driven. So does this mean that I assume it's a weekend? Yeah, so does that mean that our crew is going to be out there monitoring traffic flow,
No.
overtime, anything like that?
Why?
Crossing the road.
They're-
Are you
Okay.
crossing the
they're-
road at all? I don't think so.
Whoever the on-call staff person is,
Yeah, yeah.
if they were needed, but
Okay.
They're not
Are you all crossing any highways, roads or anything? I don't think so.
No,
Are you?
we're running down the trail east towards Gainesville and, Archer Lane crosses it. We're gonna have some people in yellow vests just to make sure. There are a couple wooded spots where Archer Lane
it's
crosses.
straight down and back, or I mean, straight down and back.
Mhm. And we'll make sure those,
And so you all don't need any assistance from us for anything?
no.
Okay, thank
No,
you.
I remember them doing it. I couldn't remember when it was.
And I think
she
we had
said
volunteers handing
2020.
water out. Commissioner Penny, that was a wonderful idea, but it was volunteers. It was not paid staff. It was not overtime, Ms. Fiore. Yes, sir.
Well, I think that's a great idea to have this here. Since you're talking about the community center for parking, why can't they use this for parking? You can get quite a few cars right here in this
In
lot.
the green belt, but we don't want to constrict the paving area, I don't think, at all, because of our neighbor.
No, I'm just talking about the parking lot that everybody parks in the grass here, the green
additional-
area.
He's speaking of the additional parking sign that's here in the
Right
green
outside
belt
there.
area over here. That's city property that would certainly be free and walking distance for
Gives
convenience.
a little more parking in case you need it right here.
And again, relying on your signage of the event, you know, and parking with arrows or whatever on the signs. Okay. Anyone else?
About how many runners are you gonna be looking at for this?
Optimistically, 100.
Okay.
That would be optimistic.
Do you need bottled water from
Yeah,
a
because I'm
volunteer
willing to
source? or do you-
donate some water.
We supply all of that. We have water and
Okay.
Gatorade and snacks, so
Okay, I was just gonna
but thank
So
you.
do
reach
you
out to
need
our
some
churches
bodies?
and our businesses and see if they would volunteer for that.
Do you need bodies to hand out the water?
We can always use bodies, but we bring bodies too.
Okay. I'm willing to hand out water.
Okay, she's
Hey,
our
right.
health guru for the dais. So
Well, it's 8 a.m. on March 8th.
But a 3K is over and
Well,
most of the
thank you
run
all.
is in an hour or less. So
Thank you all for considering coming to Archer and making us a part of it. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
And before you leave, we have a kiosk that's right there at the trailhead that stays locked. And unfortunately, there seems to be no interest to put anything on it. If you could just check with Ms. Altop, we just have a standard key lock that could be given to her. If you want to post anything, I mean, I know it's short, coming up very quickly, but any posters or anything you could put on that kiosk on both sides or whatever, because we have people that use the trailhead every day and come up there and, you know, it's a blank board on both sides. It's very saddening to me that we don't have community using that board, so.
Thank you. Thank you. I was planning to come just to notify, I know bikers come just to notify them
Yeah,
when we
I
would
mean,
be
if-
there, so we're not in their way.
Yeah, sooner it got up, there'd be more people that just knew that that was happening, you know, so you're welcome to use that kiosk if by consensus, that's okay.
Okay.
Just see Ms. Altop.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Did we vote?
We didn't yet, we have a
All those in favor of the motion, say aye.
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 Nays, like sign, aye as well. Nays, like sign, motion carries 4-0. Thank you again for being here. Next is our first comment period. Anyone like to speak? Limit your comments to 3 minutes, please. Welcome.
Hi, Rhonda Robertson, resident of Archer. This may be a redundant question, but I haven't heard. Would like to know what Justin's qualifications are, and does he have a background in accounting?
He does not have a background in accounting, no. He's pretty much been learning on the job.
And so that's his training, is learning on the job. Who is training him?
Dallas, and then Amanda, and I'm there to help as well, going through, trying to learn it with him, so there's more than one person that knows how to do it in the office. And then Tangi will learn as well, once we know what we're doing.
Okay, thank you.
Which the concept in that, if I may, Ms. Robertson, is that we've always talked about cross-training and making sure, one thing I feel very confident in with Justin is that he is exceptionally proud of his work and what he's doing, and as he learns it, he's an exceptional quick learner from what I'm hearing, my conversation with Dallas Lee. My concern was also someone that, you know, did not have an accounting background and being put in this spot, but based on our situation and based on what's happening and the oversight that's in there right now with Dallas Lee and a continuation, you know, hopefully with Amanda, the expertise is there, and I will say that Ms. Altop, I think you've been closer in the oversight than we had in a previous city manager in the last 4 years. So, I mean, if that's of any consolation in the effort, without having to go out, as Mr. Arnold's already said, well, when are we going to try to recruit that 40-hour, person, $40 an hour person, or a $30 an hour person, whatever, that's coming up. It's just first things first, and trying to get that cost containment, that transparency, and that accuracy in everything that we're reporting, as you will see in the report tonight. I mean, right on down to requested 941 and entries, every one of them, and I have a question with one tonight. But again, that kind of information has not been provided in the past. The follow-up questions on bill paying, all with respect to Ms. Costello and anyone else who's had in the past, the follow-up is here this evening in that. And Justin is integral in getting those answers for you as assignments, as you get those questions put to you, Ms. Altop, if I could.
Yes, we work together,
Well,
very close together. That's why I haven't moved from where I currently sit.
And they sit in the same room. There's no distance between them, so.
And
Thank you.
I'm a huge
But thank you for that
advocate of
concern.
cross-training.
Yes, ma'am.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Thank you for that concern. Morning. Good afternoon, Mr. Farmer.
Hi, Charles Tufano.
Yeah.
I'm curious about where we stand with the sewer system project with Newberry. I might have missed it, I'm not really sure. Is that project moving forward?
Yes.
And I'm assuming funds, some funds were going to be provided by
There's
the state
legislation appropriations for $2.5 million.
from the state?
Yes.
Okay.
Now, I mean, that's the last exercise that I participated in and represented us in, and from Felicity, Apple, and the current contractor we're using, engineering contractor, we're down to the pre-construction or the construction cost phase of approval from DEP for their review in that, and there's a deadline with that.
So those funds that we received, will Archer have to make any corresponding contributions, or will that be paid in full by DEP? and the
There'll be
state?
deadlines for that payment for those grants to be released.
Okay, will that cover all the
Yeah.
costs?
Uh,
No?
No. No.
We'll owe Newbury $13 million to even start moving forward. So we didn't get funding for the last go round, so we're gonna both submit Newberry and Archer in the August funding cycle. So it's gonna be closer to the last quarter of the year before we can start moving forward again. I
And
mean,
put
we're
it-
steady applying for grants though to cover all the
Okay.
shortfalls that we have out there.
But
But
will,
it's not only us, it's Newberry as well. So the new
Okay.
pinpoint deadline date is August for that grant cycle and whatever we can achieve towards this. But the project is still alive, not dead.
it's still alive. When will it start? When do you think it'll start? Next year?
Yes.
Like construction.
Originally, we talked about December, January
this
of
year.
'25.
Mm-hmm.
The latest we got from Felicity was it would be 1 year out, not Felicity, but the gentleman that represented her. 2 meetings ago, 3 meetings, guys help me, but it was January of '26 with completion in January of '27.
Okay, so that's moved out a year.
It's
then.
moved out a year,
So
based on
January.
not having all the full funding and
Mhm.
not having, not speaking for Newberry, because they'd have to be here to speak on their behalf, but their component of it and what that cost component would be of that
Okay.
14% ownership from Archer in that project. What's the ratepayer bill going to be?
Right, right.
To make sure that it's still within the realm of affordability for us. Because that's been our pullout in the past, and
Yeah.
that remains our pullout here. And the opportunity to have a regional concept and a system between two communities to ensure the affordability factor of the ratepayer was of the utmost priority and importance.
Okay, so the new start date's approximately January of
Yes,
'27?
it's a year out.
Okay, into '28, and we're still really.
No, 26,
Oh, December 26th?
with then 1 year for the completion of that phase 1 in January 27. That could
Okay,
be updated.
So end of this year, got it.
I hope to have in the town hall meetings that have been done in the past, that we can have representation to present that in a very future town hall meetings. Focus specifically that, and certainly all of our cost containment and cost correction steps in the financial emergency of the city.
So we'll know, maybe fall of this year, we'll know what the impact is on the citizens
Yes,
about then?
because we've asked that repeatedly, and
Right.
we've been held
We're still trying to
at
get
a
the
bay
numbers.
for Newberry to finish their component so that they could then give us that ratepayer
Okay.
charge. Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Not blaming it on Newberry, but their funding source has to be met to be able to have that affordability
Okay, so
rate
we'll look
for
for that
ratepayers.
fall. Okay,
That makes sense, yes, sir. Yes, sir, Mr. Lewandowski.
Hello.
I know we're trying to, Bill Ondowski, citizen, I know we're trying to fix all the accounting issues, but what I'm not seeing is any planning or leadership in regards to economic sustainment. Voting on land use applications is simply just not economic planning. It's like street basketball. You pick up a game when somebody comes by. There's no planning involved. We need to have economic sustainment planning. I'm concerned, though, is if you have an economic plan, whether or not you'd even follow it. You have a comprehensive plan you've had for several years, and you have not followed it. So I'm not even sure if you would follow a economic development plan, even if you had one. Another example of some of the planning leadership issues is we're trying to bring in sewer, as we just spoke about, but there's not a current business plan on how we would handle the O&M, the operations and maintenance for that. There were some figures that were done years ago on that for a whole different concept on the project. Where is that business plan now on how we make this work? We're having a hard time with just running our water system. I'm not against sewer. I think it's environmentally important to have sewer. But I think we need to have a business plan and how we make it happen. I have not seen one. And I've been asking about this forever. I also have some concerns about how some of you commissioners have conducted yourselves during the meetings. At the last meeting, one of you sat up there and insulted Roberta Lopez, and she wasn't even here. If you want to go back and take a look at it, I won't repeat what was said. Look at 3 hours, 46 minutes, and 8 seconds, and take a look at that and tell me if you think the comments were appropriate. I don't think they were, personally. There's a small number of cities in Florida in trouble because they are not being proactive and smart in how they navigate the current economic, legal, and political environment. And I agree, it's a tough environment for a small city, without a doubt. We need a proactive and informed commission that is willing to put the time and effort in to become as expert as possible in all aspects of our city, our ordinances, and the external governmental environment. You just can't you can no longer just depend upon the city attorney or the city manager. We're beyond that. And cities, small cities that are doing that, like White Springs, Florida, are failing. You just can't do that anymore. You have to be at least as up to speed on this stuff as Deanna or the city manager as much as possible. You just can't sit back and have people bring stuff to you. If you're not willing to do that, then yes, you should step down. If you're not willing to put that time and effort into doing it, because we will fail. Cities are failing. So please do that. With the current charter that we're working on, we have tried to embed some of those processes in there to instruct future city commissions on what to watch out for. But that thing is only as good as the paper it's written on.
And the vote from the referendum group.
I'm sorry, what was that?
It has to be voted by referendum from the citizens, sir.
Correct, yeah, correct.
The other
So,
constituents like yourself, yes, sir.
Correct, yeah, so, exactly, you have to approve it, they have
Yes,
to
sir.
vote on it.
Absolutely.
But even after all that's done, if nobody reads it and pays attention to it, it's worthless.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Lewandowski. Anyone else? Welcome, Ms. Costello.
Thank you. Lori Costello, citizen. I am concerned we're just kind of winging it with this accounting position, especially after the financial, whatever you want to call it, that we have been through. I think we should have somebody that is well-versed, extremely experienced person in that position. I mean, that position is the most important position to the city right now, because we're not going to have Dallas forever. Okay, that's my opinion. I emailed 17 questions on the bills for what was presented at the last meeting. I emailed the mayor and every one of you commissioners and Deanna. Now, every one of you commissioners and the mayor should know the answer to every single question that I asked. I have never received an answer from anybody. Deanna's very busy, y'all. Anybody could have helped her out and answered. This is what maybe Bill means part of the proactive part, you know. The citizens have been patient with you for a long time. Now you need to step up and show us what you can do for us. Remember, you work for us. We don't work for you, you work for us. We expect when we come up here that you listen. Karen, for example, that's a perfect example. Okay? We have begged you and begged you and begged you to do better. I'd like to see y'all do better. I would like to see every commissioner email me the answers to the questions. I want to make sure that you guys know what you're approving. All right? Mayor Hope, I was impressed that you had all those questions on the bills the last time. I think that was wonderful, but not one of the other commissioners had any questions. I was dumbfounded because I think there's a lot of things that y'all are passing that you don't know what they are. So will each of you commission in your own way and words answer my emails about the 17 questions that I had answered you on the bills from the last meeting?
Ms. Costello, your time is up. Ms. Altop, and to be able to speak on behalf of all of us, do you have time Wednesday if you receive these questions from Ms. Costello and have not been answered for us to review those and give her appropriate answers to the best of our ability?
Well, I emailed y'all.
Excuse me, your time is up. Do you,
Provide answers by Wednesday, is that what you're asking?
to be able to meet together
Oh, me
With-
with you.
Just to be able to answer to the best of our ability. Because in respect to Ms. Costello, sometimes there's redundancy and not trying to turn around and evaluate you, Ms. Costello, but sometimes there's not specificity in what you're asking. So we may return with an additional question back to you to be able to get succinct answers to you. But there's a commitment from me, if you can avail yourself anytime on Wednesday, to the best of your ability. I will review those and have what I think are answers that I know of, but I'll have the specificity from the city manager to make sure they're correct. Thank you. Next, anyone else would like to speak?
Can I respond to something?
Yes, ma'am. But
With all due respect,
yes, ma'am.
and I'm just going to say this, we get criticized in each and every way, regardless of what to do. Back in around last year of this time, there were 3 seats open on this dais. And everybody that knows how to do the job much better than us. First, you all said it wasn't advertised the way it should have been advertised. So we had to re-advertise it. Now, nobody submitted an application to run for either of these seats. Yet, everybody that comes up here to the mic can do the job much better than us. You can run Archer much, much better. I don't know if anybody that submitted their names, but there were 3 seats open.
Not the last one,
But the very last one,
Point of
okay,
order, please.
let me I'm not gonna respond to you, Lori, right now. But what, my thing is that there were 3 seats open. And you all were complaining even back then of what we're not doing, how we don't know to do this, know that. If you love your city, like you say you love your city, maybe some of you guys should have been sitting here besides, and not us. So if you're just gonna criticize or you just want time to talk, we don't have time for that. If you wanna help the city, then I understand. Help us. But every time you come to the microphone, I don't want to hear criticism. I know I'm in this position, but I don't want to hear it. Every now and then a thank you will be just fine. Because we have families and we have other things to do as well as you all. But you all never really have a thank you. You always criticize that we're all El Dumbos, don't know anything. Some of y'all know it all, but you didn't put your name in the hat. 3 seats, 3 vacancies. Nobody put the name in the hat. So I understand. I listen to you all. I try to work with you. I love Archer. That's the only reason I'm sitting up here. And if I didn't love Archer, I wouldn't be here. I wouldn't have served in a church for 20 years and served in my community even before then because I grew up in this city. And that's why I still live here. So if you just want to offer something or offer some help, or you say, I hear that. But the criticism, you and I have talked, but all those criticism, come on. If y'all love your city like you say you do, I'm listening. You always say, we don't respond to your questions. We respond, and at the next meeting, you're going to come up and say the same thing. You don't respond to the questions. We're trying to do what we can do. Y'all know, we understand we're in a financial mess. Well, we got rid of the problem. Now we're trying to fix it, but we get no credit for anything. And that's all I have to say.
Thank you, Commissioner.
Thank you so much.
Ms. Fiore.
It was still time, right? Yeah, so I do have Karen Fiore, resident. So I hear thank you a lot coming out from this side to you. So that's not a true statement. And
Well, I'm to him.
Okay, I'm speaking now. You can let me speak. So we do offer quite a lot of assistance. And what I demonstrated to you earlier today, even when we point things out, it still does not get corrected. So we are citizens. We are trying to help. We put it in black and white, and you still don't get it right. And as far as I'll leave it at that. You do get thank yous, for sure. And I'm sorry I was not at this table over a year ago, because I would have run. And I know some other people in this situation would have run as well. So I'm sorry I wasn't up at the table and representing Archer back then.
Appreciate your participation.
You'll have an opportunity next year.
Yes, sir, Mr. Gene Arnold.
Correct. Thank you.
Some order, please, in chambers, out of respect for all. Thank you. Yes, sir, Mr. Gene Arnold.
Gene Arnold, Commissioner Green. Love the passion. One of the best speeches. It was real, it was unfiltered, and I enjoyed it. So, thank you. Now, I've said it before when I've come up here. Most of my frustration that when I come up here is really geared toward the previous city manager. And not just the city manager, but Cindy, and how things were left and why we ended up with $400 worth of wipes. Not a lot of wipes, a little bit of wipes for $400. That's unacceptable. And that's not an attack at Miss Deanna. That's just a frustration. That's where you all put your trust in a city manager that got paid twice and doesn't say anything for 1 week. If I got paid twice, I think the city attorney would say, hey, we got a mistake here. I got an extra 10 grand this week. So, yes, I think a lot of people should say thank you. I don't say it enough, but thank you for what you all do, because you all take a lot of my criticism and a lot of criticism and usually just kind of smile and take it. And that's not right.
Yeah, it is, because we're public servants, and that's what we're up here to do
an
until we're
extent, but
elected.
yet, when there were previous accusations of y'all stole,
Right.
none of y'all stole.
Right.
Did funds get mismanaged? Were there people that you entrusted that didn't do their job? And maybe, and I hope, I've said it before, I hope the city attorney is going after those people that pocketed, whether it was vacation time or double dipping on mileage and having, I guess you can't do anything about a $44 steak, but it was wrong. And I think some of the folks, I know when I come up here and I can see Miss Fiore has a passion. I think, first of all, most of the people in this room probably have better things to do on a Monday than to be here. But they're here because
They care.
they care. I'm speaking for them, but that's at least the way I look at it. Because I hope that Archer gets out of this mess, and we do have growth, and we have good growth, and growth that everyone can be proud of. And you know, the running group, they haven't been here since 2010.
Well, they do a cycle of all the cities.
It's been 5 years, I think. So I hope that they have a good experience and that they come back and they bring 100 people, and those people go to Save a Lot and go to the Kangaroo and go to the Mexican place and whatnot. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Arnold. Anyone else?
If I can respond to something, Mr. Lewandowski, one of his questions, one of the things that he brought up as far as like the sewer system, and as far as the operations and the maintenance. I did speak with someone over in Newberry that's over their maintenance and, you know, the maintenance of the lift stations and all of that stuff. And he told me that they are trained from time to time, and University of Florida was one of the places that they get their training. I think UF may have been free, but also I believe it's through the state. So he said for most of their problems, the majority of their problems, they take care of them themselves.
They're
So
operating
so we're looking hopefully to do the same thing. And he says that they hardly ever have to call in anyone for anything major. But as far as maintaining their lift stations and the regular maintenance stuff, that they do that themselves because they're trained to do it.
And we will most likely dovetail off of those same protocols.
So I talked to someone.
Yeah, so,
The plan is not in place, is what they're trying to say, Mr. Lewandowski, but the intent will be to dovetail off of the sister municipality that already has those OEMs in place. And so I don't have the plan here for you and document with City of Archer on it, but that is our intent. And we just lost the city manager of opportunity, Mike New, but he committed to me in a meeting that we certainly could utilize any of their services and plans in place. And that assured me, not that everything they do is right, but they've already got the wastewater system in place. They've committed to have a regional plan with us. And so we'll be dovetailing as the smaller sister municipality in that effort. And
Yeah.
when will we do that? When we get into construction phase 1, before we plug in the pipe, which is now a year out. So that plan that probably would have been on our target for this year has now been moved up because of other priorities. We're small in stature. We don't have money to spend out for services to try to render this or reach out and have a cost expectation in trying to get those plans in place. We're not wastewater specialists, so we would have to contract that unless we utilize and dovetail off of a sister municipality that's in this for the long haul in a regional system. I hope you can appreciate that. That's not your plan today, nor was, and I'll speak to this at the end of the meeting, nor was what happened last meeting and removing a moratorium. But you keep speaking about the comp plan and what we don't do, yet you've got a schedule sent to you today on the comp plan on the renewal, because that is still alive. That was my commitment to you, sir, and others who have a concern about whether we look at our comp plan and make sure we're building it and amending it appropriately. And you saw, and were you not sent, a year-out schedule on how that's going to be accomplished through our contract with North Central Florida Planning Council. Not trying to put you on the spot.
no, so a couple things.
You need to understand that we prioritize things, not sometimes on your speaking ability to tell us what we should have already done in hindsight, but proactively in trying to make sure that we're maneuvering these things and putting them in place. Even with the oversight ability to have someone very inexpensive, very inexperienced, but totally loyal with a lot of oversight from Miss Amanda as well as Dallas Lee. I can assure you, Dallas Lee, and just speaking with him several times, if he had had any concern about who we had at that desk doing that, he would have already reported that in all of his findings. And we entrust that because of the man that's in his position in Newberry right now as the interim city manager.
So in regards to the planning, the lady who was here.
What planning?
In regards to what Ms. Green said.
The OEM planning.
So in regards to that, the lady who was here from that company, I guess they work with Newberry, it was a couple of meetings ago? Morgan, yeah, Morgan. The one with the Alabama accent.
Yes.
Right, okay.
It's
So
Morgan
she
French.
really said it best. Before you go up and you try to get the grant, you really need to have in your back pocket the OEM plan. I mean, she said it. And that's, you can't wait till phase 1 construction. You need to have a preliminary plan. And by a plan, I mean something with measurable goals and objectives. That's what I define as a plan. With a systems approach, so that if something goes wrong or has to be changed, there's a systematic way of changing it. That's a plan. You don't have it. In regards to the comprehensive plan, yes, you sent me that document today, and I was glad to see it. But sir,
you're disheartened because of the timeline.
It has. It's not just the timeline. It has been literally years since the last comprehensive plan was written, and I've been saying for years.
2017, and it was amended in 2019, sir.
Correct.
And again in
That's
2021.
years. Right. That's years.
Of 7-year cycle.
7 years. Yeah. Right. And the issues with the current land use ordinances, which still exist and will continue to exist until we get it amended, are still there.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so
They have
this one,
to be
and one last thing I want to say in regards to what my participation has been. So I think you know I've been at most meetings. As you probably recall, I helped write the ordinance for the cemetery. I've done everything from sit up on the stage and have kids in my lap acting as Santa Claus to running Memorial Day. I run a nonprofit for local Archer veterans. So I do walk the talk. I think, and I guess you can disagree with that, but I do walk the talk. So if I stand up here and I provide something, and I'm also chairing now the Charter Commission. And if you've been at those, you haven't been to those meetings, but hopefully Ms. Penny and Ms. Green have been at the meetings and will tell you that I actively try to get their input and Deanna's input on what will make sense. So I do criticize. I do. I think that's what the public
You're a
is supposed to
critical
do.
thinker.
Okay? But I also try to be proactive in helping the city. At least I think I do.
Thank you.
Maybe I fail, but I try.
Thank you very much, Mr. Lewandowski.
And also, I have reached out to Midway, Florida, because they're doing the sewer thing too, but they're more on the level of Newberry. They're the ones that's gonna have the plant, and other cities gonna have to come in with them. Also, I've been still talking to Armadale because they're doing it too. I haven't talked to them in a while, but I have reached out to them because if they're going through what we're going through, maybe they could give us some insights, some bumps in the road and some highs and the lows. So it's not like we don't reach out to other people. Just because we're not saying it, that don't mean we're not doing other things to reach out to other cities to see what we can do and how we can do it.
Thank you, Commissioner.
But thank you.
Anyone else would like to speak?
We don't spend too much time on this. Let's move forward.
All right, next on our agenda is old business, bill payment questions and answers, and 941 requests. The bill payment questions from Ms. Costello will be addressed on Wednesday. And moving forward, Ms. Costello, if that's acceptable to you, not mean you'll get an answer Wednesday, but that action will be taken. All my questions that I asked were answered with the exception of one, and again, for anyone who has any respect for it, I asked for all the documented 941s and the releases of the payments. The only one I have an exception on, Dean, and I don't need an answer tonight, I just like follow up. And on page 1, the period of 1/11/25 to 1/21/25, that payment is, I can't find it on this list. And I just want to make sure that it's clear or it's been released as we try to move forward with, writing these payments to prepare for then the penalties and the 33% interest. That's the, I don't need an answer tonight. I appreciate this though. And for the audience, I don't know if you realize it, it's the first time prior 2007 that Bill Pays had 941 releases and dates and amounts. This was not done in 2007. This was all total trust on the management to make sure that these payments were made. So this is a new action that this commission, as we sit up here with our incompetence, that we will have. I'm sorry, but again, I don't need any touchy-feely. I'm just saying we fail, and unfortunately Channel 20 is gone, but if any of you watch the news at noon, it is ridiculous how much we're chided for as a whole group. And I mean all of us, constituents, dais, everyone is a small town, and yet the actions we're trying to take, the leadership and the citizenry coming forward. Ms. Fiore, the anger that you can show at us, the rebuttal, like I keep waiting for you to walk out and never come back, and you don't. It's because you care, and I respect you for that. I respected you for that when you were my neighbor as a business, making lots of noise and lots of changes in the back of Maddox Foundry. But huh?
Excuse me?
I expected you to show anger and retaliation with that as a neighbor. No, I said no, the noises that our business made as we made changes, as we made berms and things like that. So I am going to get emotional. But you were a good neighbor, and I hope we were as well. And that's what is unique to Archer. Archer now, Archer in the past, Archer in the future. To have Miss Jean Arnold, a son of Mr. Arnold, who has been taken through the coals on a CUP, and we've taken all the actions and processes. We've changed it. I respect you fully for being here. I wish all three of your other brothers were here. But I know the intent is honorable to be here and represent not only a business, but yourself and caring for Archer. I do respect that fully. That, unfortunately, is never shown in Channel 20 News. So I apologize for berating a little bit when the camera was running, but I mean what I say when I say we're taking as many and not as fast, Mr. Lewandowski, as you want, not as fast in the organized plans as you want. That's okay, that's a challenge. I take a good challenge, we'll get there. But we have to prioritize every meeting and reprioritize what we're trying to do to ensure we're moving the train or the Titanic, to miss the iceberg, move it forward. And that's still our intent. From the anger you may show in Scribner errors from legal, bad girl, take it back and spank somebody. But that, you know, these things happen. And so with that, the bill payments and the process we're going under, I respect you fully for that. I know Justin is integral in that because you're assigning it to him, and I can tell by his writing, that's not your writing, that's his, and identifying some of these things. You don't have to tell me. I just know he's being assigned things and he's getting answers for you. The process is working. And it might have to do because the boss is in the same workroom, less than 6 feet away. So, and you're a very quiet person, but that's very different than what we had in the past. We still have lots of issues to correct. But I do respect the transparency in the bill payments, and I'm sure there'll be more of them as we move forward. But thank you for giving me the answers.
Can you clarify which one you're looking for, please?
Yeah, I do not see the period of 1/11/25, it would be through 1/21/25, the payment. Do you see it and I've just missed it?
Because I tried to put them in order.
Yes, ma'am, but I had 17 questions and they've been answered. That's the commentary and the thank you I'm giving as we forget to thank people for doing things. That includes 941 reports.
Are you talking about the third one down, the 3,770.72?
Yes.
Okay, yeah, it should be page 3. I tried to put them in order to how they were on the front page.
Okay.
You
Okay.
see it?
Okay. All right.
Okay.
And we can review it on Wednesday. I don't want to belabor it tonight. My commentary was my commentary. My thank you is my thank you. Anybody else have questions about bill pays? All right, the 941 request. That's in this packet, so that's the first. So thank you very much. I know it's laborious to do that. Okay. Item,
Can we talk about it?
yes, ma'am, certainly. Certainly, I'm open to the audience for any commentary about bill pays.
Look at that, I'm back already.
Dedication.
Yeah.
Okay, what's up?
So 2 things. First, your comments about, shame on the errors. I kind of take offense to that because I do spend the time
To review.
reviewing it.
And I did scan it and-
Yeah, and it's not funny because someday you're going to put a contract out there that's going to have major errors.
And
And
liability.
I will put City of Gainesville, on the diocese here saying, you can make errors like that and you're going to live with those for a very long time.
Yes.
So those comments I don't think are necessary because I do find it serious and that's why I provided you those
Thank you.
changes that are still not being done.
Thank you.
So question, the 941s, that list, it looks like it's a report coming out of like QuickBooks. Can someone confirm that those are actual payments out the door? Or is that just gonna be your schedule of payments that are due?
No, these are payments out the door. I mean, I didn't
Okay.
have time to go back to look at every bank statement to pull.
But those are out the door?
They should.
Okay, thank you.
They should
And-
be reconciled to the bank statement.
Okay, thank you.
That's what I asked for, so.
Okay, and then I just don't know what this is about, and it was in one of the lists. This topographic survey for the community center, what was that in need for?
That was the project we canceled. We paid.
Oh, okay.
We had to pay for something that got done that we
Okay.
canceled.
I just
So,
didn't know what it
yeah, I thought the same thing and then I realized this is what we canceled, the grant for the multi-use gymnasium. Yes, ma'am.
Lori Costello, citizen. The invoices from Kimberly Horn, they don't say a whole lot. The one says Laurel Hill Cemetery, but it doesn't say what was done.
Survey.
A survey?
They-
Okay.
They did.
So, how do people know, I mean, all of these, so, the next one, I imagine all this, next one is for the wastewater treatment plant? Or the sewer system here,
The scope line of what they did.
and do we have a list of the design services in the office?
That's why it's a shovel-ready project that's been submitted to DEP.
Yeah, they just don't say anything. They just seem very lax. You might know what they are for, but other people like myself, they don't know what they're for. And if you guys are looking through the bills, y'all need to know what they're for. So that's the only questions I had. Thank you.
Yes, sir, Mr. Arnold.
The water tank maintenance contract. You included a contract from 2000 and 2011. Is that what we're working off of, a contract from 2011?
Currently, yes, sir.
Have we put out for a bid from anyone else to do this work? Are they the only ones and we haven't really looked at it since 2011?
Since I've been here, no, we have not.
That's just something that I would
Another
probably
opportunity.
get one or two other companies that do this, because you're paying them an awful lot of money, and their contract, which I don't even know if it's, I didn't pay close attention to if it's renewable, but 2011. So that's something that jumped out at me. I didn't see a lot of other bills since February 3rd on that ledger. I guess we'll get more next month or whenever that's going to be updated, so we can keep seeing how it's going, and hopefully there'll be details. I know that he put some things on there to clarify a couple different things. As far as Kimley Horn, what the young lady mentioned was correct. I'm in construction, and it's not very good the way that they detailed him, and it's also an opinion is 10 grand. That's not good. And I think it comes down to what was their contract and how their contract was broken down, and did their contract include a schedule of values, or was it lump sum and then they just front loaded it with design services, preliminary design services, so they got $500,000, and their on the back end would be their construction services has not much money. That way, if the project doesn't go, well, they've already been paid all their money. So that's, and again, I'll have to make that formal request where I get their contracts on every grant, every project that they've done, to see how exactly it was laid out, because the schedule of values is not very clear.
Thank you. Anyone else? Yes, sir, Mr. Stefano.
Yes, hi, Commissioners. So what I'd like to say is, I can speak for myself, and I believe most of the citizens here don't genuinely come here to chastise and give you guys a hard time.
Bill,
Can you,
it's on bill payment. The comments are on bill
the
payment.
comments are on the bill payment motion in the
Yeah.
review. I'm sorry, it's not public comment.
Yeah, it's on bill payment now. We've switched over,
Yeah, we
sorry.
closed comment one.
But it's gonna be another
okay.
comment
There'll be
period.
another comment
Okay,
period
I'll
for you,
wait.
please, and I look forward to the commentary. Thank you, sir.
Mayor Hope.
Yes, ma'am.
Commissioner White must be watching or listening. She wanted me to let everyone know to please make it clear that she does ask questions when she signs any checks, and she does.
Okay,
Just for
does
the
she have
record.
questions, or?
No, just that she asks questions when she signs checks, either from myself
Oh,
or
okay,
Justin, like
talking about
she
bill
looks at
payments.
everyone.
She's asking questions before she puts a signature on.
Right.
Yes,
And if it's like customary,
Just wanted to
you've
make it
signed them for
clear.
review first, and then she gets them,
Correct.
right?
yes.
Because again, as your secondary, I would never sign a check unless it had been reviewed by, unfortunately, a predecessor, for his review and approval. But- Okay, thank you. Anyone else regarding bill payments? And just the follow-up and the request for more documentation? All right, moving on. City of Archer surplus property list and identified approved properties to be sold.
Howdy.
Hi, you're on.
I am. So I provided you all, it was easiest just to give you the email that I had sent Deanna, because I feel like that lays it out the best. Right now, as it sits in the city in terms of your surplus properties, you've basically got 3 categories of surplus properties. You've got the first category, which contains 5 parcels that have been declared surplus, have been authorized for sale. Deanna knows that she is good to go ahead and proceed with posting them in accordance with the real property sale policy. So those 5 don't require any action. It's more so just touching base with you all. I think there was a question by a couple of folks of where even are these parcels. So you'll see in the backup documentation for this agenda item, the property appraiser page has been pulled for each parcel. You have one parcel, the 4923001000, that has only been approved for donation. I'm here tonight to ask if you all would like me to bring this back at the next meeting to have it declared for surplus property for sale. So just keep that in the back of your head of something I'm looking for some guidance on. And then I know that the last piece of parcel that we've been talking about is kind of a hot button for you all of this 4959002001. That's the property that was voted to be donated to the church, but Felicity also has it dog-eared for a public project. Now, our office has contacted Felicity requesting she come in to go through the pieces of property that or actually, I think we reached out to find out how much it would cost for Felicity to come in at a meeting to present to you all what pieces of property are still dog-eared for projects, because my concern at this point is as we're taking public projects off of the to-do list, are we bringing those pieces of parcels forward such that they could be declared surplus and sold for a profit? We haven't heard back from Felicity about that. Kirsten had emailed her, I think, about a week ago, so we'll follow up on that.
Can you give clarification on that one? What church are we speaking of?
Commissioner Green would know.
Behind the Shiloh Church, the 5 acres.
Yes.
That's what you're talking about, behind the Shiloh.
That's the parcel that's a problem that is.
Because it's been voted that you all donate it to the church, but it's also been dog-eared for a public purpose. And so my concern is if we donate it to the church and then you need that parcel, you're gonna have to buy it back.
And that is the one that needs an environmental study, phase 1 done on it, because it's the old City of Archer dump?
I think so, yes.
And that's the stopgap on that we
And
shouldn't
that's
sell that.
the reason that we didn't, because we've been trying to figure out what's going on with all these parcels. And so right
I hate to
now,
belabor this, but that's the church that we're speaking of. That's the 5 acre
yes.
former City of Archer dump.
That did that.
Huh?
It wasn't us that did that.
No, it's been like that for 40 years. It was earmarked for that and utilized when we had our own utility service of our own garbage staff, and that's where the garbage went. So it is not what, again, and I'm speaking since 2007, 8, 9, 10, when that 5 acres was utilized by our staff for brush and environmental sticks, tree limbs, things like that. When it was no longer used as the garbage dump. But our concern, and in respect to our predecessor, that he stopped this was because it required a minimum in environmental phase 1 with the garbage that was put on that for 30-something years before then. So, I mean.
That piece of parcel, I'm not looking for any action on tonight. I wanted to report on it more than anything. That's a pause there on that
And the
one.
expense would be on the city, and then we would have to consider that in the sale or donation of it.
I mean, that's up for debate. We're doing
Yeah.
one in the city of Newberry right now where people are buying from the city of Newberry or maybe we're buying from them, but whomever, you can dispute and argue
Yeah.
who's gonna pay for the phase 1 testing. In that one, it wasn't as clear as it
Okay.
normally would be. The other thing that I wanted to bring to your attention about these parcels and the Felicity list is that Felicity has a list of roughly 6 or 7 parcels that are dog-eared for public purposes, 2 of which are your most valuable pieces of surplus property in the city right now. So that's really why we'd like to get her in here to hear, are these projects moving forward? Do you need, this much of a parcel this big and we can sell the rest of it? Can we just cut out what, if you're just putting a lift station on a corner, can we cut out the lift
That.
station property and then sell the rest of it? So that's what we'd really like Felicity to come in here and kind of go through some of these projects. So in terms of what I'm looking for in guidance on this list is just some sort of indication that you'd like to see that donation parcel come back, not the church one, but the other one, to be authorized for sale. Because right now I'm stuck, I can only donate it based upon your previous approval of it.
And which one is that?
That is 04923-001. I'm looking in the packet, hold
Just give
on.
me the elementary 50,000 feet. What is that? Is that, are either one of these the Bethlehem Presbyterian Church that had a lift station added to it? And that's why it went from survey to appraisal?
No, but that might actually be the church property that we're talking about and not the one that Commissioner Green.
Oh, okay. The one
That was
Bet-
close to 5 acres,
What
but
are they
has a lift
called?
station.
The one that you're talking about, what's the name of the church?
Bethlehem Presbyterian Church.
That is the
And it had
one.
the wooded area behind it.
Yes, I'm sorry, I got my churches
And
mixed
I
up.
keep speaking of the opportunity to gain 19,000 or whatever the appraisal price was for sale, because they just.
Right.
They don't have any public use for it. It's gonna be
Right.
donated. And our church stopped that because we said we can't commit to that being a park and take the liability as a not-for-profit religious institution. And so at that point, when we had your former partner in here, he says, well, if it's not for public use, then it has to be appraised and sold or offered for sale if there's an interest. There's been that letter exchange between our trustees, et cetera.
Sure, yeah, I saw the letter about them saying thank you.
Expenses approved by this dais saying, yes, go ahead and survey it, appraise it, and get the money, basically.
Sure.
And so that's that testing spirit that comes out of me and going, there's an opportunity for revenue. And of course, the other one is the Hope and the Hoyt, which is also,
I have updates on both of those.
okay, thank you. That was my other question. I'll leave you alone.
So that, I'm sorry, that parcel that's marked for donation, but it's also marked for a public project is the
Lift station
lift
problem with
station
it.
property problem.
And it would
And
be-
I need Felicity to come tell us how much of that property can we carve off?
And then do the letter writing again, say, are you still have
Right,
interest?
do you still wanna buy this?
With the
And
trustees.
and call it a day.
Okay.
So that's the update on the list that I have there. I'd really like to emphasize that Felicity's got some of these parcels dog-eared that are pretty, lucrative pieces of property.
For consideration.
For consideration,
which,
so we really need to find out if the public purpose is going forward on them, or public projects
Okay,
rather.
so do you need us by
I don't,
consent? Oh.
I don't need any direction, we've already
Was
contacted
Felicity gonna
her.
charge us accordingly as a line
We've
item?
reached out to find out how much it would cost.
Okay.
So I don't wanna ask her to come in until I can tell you with some sort of
Here's the
authority,
cost to
here's
get-
the cost to make
With the
that decision.
opportunity for revenue sourcing of
Right.
these surplus properties.
So that's the update on those pieces of property.
Okay.
For the Ronnie Arnold, Todd Kirkland CSX parcel, I received an email from the appraiser this morning saying that he should have the appraisal to us probably sometime this week.
Okay.
So that's the update on that. The update on the Mary Hope, and then the Historical Society.
Hoyt, and then we added the Historical
Right.
Society split or
Okay,
whatever.
so we have reached out to a surveyor and they provided us this kind of crazy quote, but I don't think they realize what exactly we're looking for.
Right.
So Deanna and I are gonna get on the phone with him to explain, we're talking about carving off feet.
A driveway and whatever's
Right.
needed for the Historical Society to add their bathrooms.
Correct.
Speaking Ms. Greenberg.
Correct, to
Yeah.
get the quote for what the survey would cost. And I know that there's been question, why do we need a survey? I have to put a legal description on a deed. I have no ability to create a legal
And
description.
whoever that surveyor is has to know what the right-of-ways are for the continued trails.
Correct.
'Cause
That was another thing that
we
we
don't-
looked into.
Yeah.
So Deanna and I reached out to the county, found out that, our rails to trails still happening, and what is the map? Are we, because my other concern was if we sell the CSX on the other side of Magnolia Street to Mr. Kirkland and Mr. Arnold, have we already promised that for the trail? We have not. We've confirmed that. So that parcel's fine. And I think with the small carve-offs on the CSX on your side of Magnolia Street.
Hope and the Hoyt.
Hope and Hoyt and the Historical Society, it's such slight carves that I don't anticipate it being a problem with the county. So that's the update on all things surplus. The only action I need is to find out whether you want me to bring back that parcel marked for donation to declare it for sale. That's the only,
Bethlehem Presbyterian Church
No,
Wooded area.
I'm
No, the
sorry.
other one.
Let me
The
just
one
pull it
that
up.
Commissioner Green's talking about,
Hold on.
which is the 5 acres.
Mayor Ho.
Next Shiloh.
Commissioner White wanted me to let you know, you guys never voted on the environmental one by Shiloh, and
Right.
I agree with her. That was never voted to do anything
It was just brought up
with.
as a concern.
Yeah, she
and
just
we didn't-
wanted that input.
We didn't
that we-
act on that, we
Okay.
just said that would be, when it came forward, somebody's going to pay for the phase
Okay,
one
she just wanted
environmental
to make
because of the
sure.
use of that for 40 years.
Correct.
And right now, because that's city surplus, we have that liability. Because what we used it for years ago, I mean, not this dais, but
Okay, the piece of property I'm talking about is very small. It's like 0.07 acres.
Oh, okay.
It's got no assigned address. Let me see if I can see what the map looks like. It looks like it's off of that railroad that cuts through town and it intersects with, it's part of Holly Hills, unrecorded, just north of Sawmill Park. It's just a little triangle parcel, but you all have it marked for donation. If you can get $1,000, $2,000 for a real small piece of property, why not do it? Was kind of the thought we had in our office, which is why we wanted to bring it back.
Okay.
So that's the only action I need from you all this evening.
And that was on the north end of 170th Street
Yeah, I
in
can.
Holly Hills.
It looks like
And if it's the tri-
yes, 170th Street is the one that runs north and it sits right at the top of it, and Southwest 127th
And
comes
cuts back
across.
to 241,
Yes.
crosses over 241.
Yes, it's a little sliver.
And it was a problematic area for the vagrancy and the hanging out and not the lady that owns that property, the other bigger triangle, it's the little one, because they would just move
Yeah.
further. When you go towards the crossover,
Yeah, once you cross over the
there's a
tracks.
triangle there, and when they get
Okay.
in trouble at the big triangle that's owned by somebody, then they would just move the back of the trucks and the popping of the back of the nice chests and all that to that corner. But it's still surplus property, and so with no,
Correct, it's just
No
been,
one but
it's
the city
been
to
marked for
monitor that, yeah.
donation, and it seems,
Hers is before you cross the track.
yeah,
That's
That's-
fixed in now.
right there where the tracks are. but-
Yeah, that one piece of property is all fixed in.
Yes,
Yeah. So, yeah, but it's on the opposite side of the road.
yeah, but it's a little triangle in there, they just moved the big triangle to that little triangle when they had an event.
okay. So you've got Holly Hills sits
But-
here,
Right.
and then
we
Sawmill
lost one
Park
of
is
our-
here, and it's this little corner triangle. This is 170th, and then this is where 127 comes across, and it sits right there on the corner. It's just this little tiny,
How much is it?
it's like 0.7 acres, it's real small.
You can't put nothing on.
0.07 acres,
0.07.
0.07
You
acres.
can't
It's
build on it, you just have.
super
to-
small.
Yeah, can't do anything on it.
And that's after you cross the tracks. I'm trying to picture it. I know the city has a little small one
It's
that's
adjacent.
fenced in right there. Like right before you cross the
Yeah.
track. They have a little small property right there that's
That's-
fenced in.
That's just, and the city maintains it.
I think it is it's the,
Yeah.
the picture on the map shows that it's fenced in.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's the
yeah,
little fence
it's right
in there.
before you cross the tracks.
Right.
I know
Okay,
it's hard
know
to
what
see.
you're talking about.
And the house.
You can see that there's a
sits
fence there.
Further over to it.
Make
Nah,
a bigger place.
I don't know if I can, hold on.
Yes.
Further over than the
What does this do?
So. Oh, okay.
So do we
I
want
know
to
what
proceed
you're
with
talking about.
considering that for donation?
No, sale. It's already marked for
Sale.
donation.
Okay,
It's it's limited to donation right now.
but it's
Oh.
unbuildable, there's nothing you can
Nothing
build
you
on
can
it.
build on it.
1/10 of an acre, so.
If someone buys it, it's back on your tax roll.
All right.
Right now, you're getting no taxes on it, so if they decide they can't build on it, at least it's owned by
So
a private
consensus,
property
do we
owner.
want to add that one for sale? For sale
Yes, for sale. That's
versus
the,
donation?
correct.
Yep.
And it would come back before you in the form of a resolution. I just need guidance if that's what you want me to do.
With the earmark for sale, not donation. Okay.
Correct.
By consensus, we're agreeing with that to move forward? Yes.
I'll bring it back in a
With the big
resolution.
ticket item being Felicity, what's it gonna cost to come forward?
Yeah, I mean, and then I'll keep you guys posted on that as well.
Okay.
But that's the update on surplus
And-
property.
And the surveyor that's having problems
Yes.
with the little slivers here and there.
We're
Is
working
that
on
still
all of
where
it.
you're possibly gonna have to just come out physically with the surveyor?
I intend to come out physically with the surveyor. It's
Yeah.
just gonna be
And
easier.
I'm sure the parties of interest would
Would
put stakes out of
probably-
what they're interested in and then survey away,
Right.
because it's been surveyed before, so, okay. And appraised before, okay.
Okay, so
Thank
that's it on surplus.
Okay, thank you very much. New business, resolution number 2025-08, authorizing additional accessors for banking services.
Mr. Mayor, this is resolution number 2025-08, a resolution of the City of Archer, Florida, approving and authorizing additional accesses for banking services on behalf of the City of Archer, removing previously named signatories on behalf of the city, repealing all resolutions in conflict, and establishing an effective date. So this resolution adds Amanda Hagan as inquiring access, it adds Justin Southard as update access, and it removes Dallas Lee as having any access.
Okay, I'll entertain a motion.
So moved.
Have a motion for Vice Mayor, a second from Commissioner Green. Any further discussion? This is just a corrective action step to make sure we have check and balance here. Hearing none, any comments from the constituents in the audience, please? Yes, ma'am.
Karen Fiore. Before I jump into this one, I cannot find Lee's resolution signed on our website. I find the old resolution that had the error where it was giving him permission to be a signer, but that was shut down, but there's nothing on our website that I can find with the correct resolution. And so for this resolution, so again, cut and pasting from old documents. So it says, whereas who is currently authorized has resigned from her position. So this was in reference to when Cindy was there. So that's not true. That needs to go away. The next one, whereas remove former city manager. No, that's not true. He's already been removed from your other resolution that you've already passed. That needs to go away. My question to the attorney, what's the difference between inquiring and update?
I don't know that, I'll be candid with you, I don't know the difference. Deanna signified there was a difference between the two, and that was why I wrote it such that it expressed a difference between the two.
It's where Amanda and Dallas can't submit any ACHs, can't submit any checks. They can only look at our bank account. So this.
So
that authorization has to
So
come
then
from you.
they can only look at it. They can't do any transactions or anything like that.
Okay, I get that, and that's great, because they shouldn't, but I don't understand the language there, but whatever. Yeah, so we can make fun of the fact that I found those again, but again, it's pretty serious.
Thank you very much, Ms. Fiore. No fun intended. Anyone else?
No, it's not public comment.
It's regarding this
It's
resolution.
public
Mr.
comments
Tufano.
on the resolution.
We're almost there. I'm sorry. Okay. All right. Anyone else regarding resolution number 2025-08? And would the motions be amended to correct any Scribner errors that's been provided by Ms. Fiore?
Yes, that's fine.
Amended to that effect? Okay. And you would second that, Commissioner Green?
Yes.
To amend it to correct any Scribners of removing our predecessor and,
Yes.
okay. All right, let's take it to a vote. All those in favor of this resolution number 2025-08, say aye.
Aye.
Aye as well, nays like sign. Hearing none, motion carries. Thank you very much. Number 2, Ms. Altop.
Okay. So I emailed all of you, but I know you might not have been able to see the email. Our grant funds reimbursements came in, so it's $230,900. We got a little ad valorem, like 14, I think, $1,383. So that was good. It was nice to see our bank account at a decent amount. But so what I had asked in the email, just so everyone can hear, and that if you guys have a different opinion, is I plan on paying the IRS debt completely off with those funds versus paying Kinley Horn. So I just want to make sure everyone is in agreement with that.
My consensus, we're in agreement with that?
Okay.
How much did you say the ad valorem was, just roughly?
It was $14,000,
Okay.
I think $383.
And this is different in your recommendation and what your action you want us to take by consensus than what Dallas Lee had presented on February 20th, where he wanted us to take a loan out for the IRS payment.
Correct.
So in corrective step actions, again, I'll wait until we vote on it, but I feel that this is the correct direction to go with the big bear in the room. Right, and then let Kimberly Horn be Kimberly Horn until we get additional details to scope of work services and those kind of things. And see in court or whatever the new comment is from the political arena. But again, unfortunately, Channel 20 is not here to see this action we're taking tonight in a corrective action step. And again, I'm not boasting. It's things that we should do and are doing. And I thank you all for being here to see this action taken. So by consensus, this is approved? Yes? Okay. Any comments from the constituents in the audience regarding how we're going to utilize this fund to take care of the IRS principal due? Still owing 33% interest on the balance and also the penalty phase, which is at that point can be negotiable, but only an offer and compromise. Yes, sir.
You just hit on it. I was wondering, once you paid it off, if you can go back and ask for the interest to be waived or reimbursed.
We've already done that. Our office wrote a letter.
Did you retain, your office was retained as our legal counsel regarding IRS?
We just,
I thought you didn't do
we just
that.
represent the city. I mean,
On all angles.
right now, we're just knocking things down as they're popping
That's
up.
an onerous thing to do, go through the offer and compromise. step
Yeah,
and
so
all that.
we provided a letter to Deanna explaining to the IRS, the analysis that our office had in speaking with a few tax consultants is that by and large, your interest is unlikely to be waived, but your penalties may be waived. And so we wrote a letter explaining and essentially asking for those to be waived. We asked for both to be waived, and I think it was an 843 form,
Yes,
wherein you can ask for abatement of penalties and taxes.
And just that offer and compromise process is onerous, and so I can see Amanda being utilized fully to complete that process. And that takes months for that to come to an agreement. And it's where you say, we can get this on what you're saying, here's the big bill. They come up with that, and then here's what we're affordable to pay in the next 5 years. And that's what they take it under consideration, but you have to report everything for the last 5 years.
So yes, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to jump in, but I wanted you to
No,
know
thank
that
you.
we had done that, yes.
Okay, wonderful.
But
I just,
it's the first step in getting to that point of here's what we could, how we could negotiate through offer and compromise.
okay, I wasn't sure, but I was hopeful that there was some path to, once you've paid it, to at least come back and say, okay,
And
if you don't ask, you probably don't get.
And my plan or intent in this is to quickly, if we have to have a press release, to start getting correct information out and not misinformation. And again, I know I'm belaboring the Channel 20, but if you watch it, it is ridiculous. They're still got us out there at over $1.3 million in debt. That is not a true statement, and that was on the Channel 20, 12 o'clock noon today, news. I had 4 people calling me about that, and I
I
said,
think
it's.
a press release is
And
a
I guess
great thing on
call it
Facebook.
false
And
pride. It may have been the debt, but it's being reduced and it's being corrected. So for all parties that think otherwise right now. So thank you, sir.
that's good news.
Yes, ma'am.
Sorry, quick question. So I thought I heard you got grant funds in that you plan to use?
It's a reimbursement. Correct, yes, a reimbursement.
Okay.
Of the
so-
reserves that we had used.
Just
that
making sure, because you
depleted the
can't just go
reserves.
and
So
use
instead of
grant
putting it
funds.
back in reserves,
Just
where
making sure.
it probably came from, we gotta pay Uncle Sam, the big
Yeah,
bear.
just
in the
making
room.
sure we're not using grant funds for other things.
No, sir. No, ma'am. That is correct, right?
Yes.
All right, you're looking at me and I'm talking, okay, I just want to make sure I'm correct. Thank you. All right, was that all of item 2?
That was all for the IRS
Okay,
debt,
thank you.
yes. And then the public doesn't have item 3, but it's a quote to repair our 2000 Ford F-250. It's Archer Auto quote, so the total with all the work is $1,743. And we had our meeting this morning, so Public Works Calvin asked me to get with the commission and see what you guys think. They could do the repairs, but I don't know how the commission feels about it, because it probably might take 2 of them 2 days, which is putting us close to $1,000 in labor just for our public works and then the supplies. So it's pay Archer Auto, have our guys do it, which I'm confident they can, or the truck will just not be able to be used, and then we'll be down to only 2 trucks, and the side-by-sides will have people riding together again. I know that was a complaint in the past. So, just looking for direction. I'd prefer just to pay to have it repaired, but it's whatever you guys would like to do. I know it's $743, but I rode it, not this truck, but the other one, and that's scary. When you're pulling out onto a main road and the vehicle won't go, and it sounds like this is doing the same thing. I mean, I was scared to death when I had to ride with them that day. I was like, oh my.
Don't get me.
But, so, what would
And
you
this is
guys
for the
like?
250, right? The F,
The old one, 2000, the year 2000, 25-year-old vehicle.
What was the alternatives? What you said
the guys, the guys do
The
work.
guys
Our
could
guys-
repair
Guys
it.
do it, they can repair it.
Right, or we just don't fix it and they'll have to ride together. So if people see 2 Public Works together, they'll need to know that that was approved, if that's the
So
way you
the-
guys choose to go.
The 1743, that's if they repair it?
If Archer Auto Repairs does all the
Archer Auto
repairs,
repair
yes,
it.
ma'am.
And if our guys repair it, it would be.
It would be their time. They said it'd probably take 2 of maybe 2 days, and then the parts, I don't think will be, they were like listing them off to me. I don't think they'll be more than a few $100-ish, maybe.
So Archer
more
Automotive
than
has a
that.
35% plus markup.
Well,
on
it's the
every-
labor that I think is most of it on there.
So I'm just trying to understand. The 1743 is if automotive
Archer
right,
Automotive.
Archer fix it.
Yes, ma'am.
But if the guys fix it,
It's
what are
1,200.
we looking at?
Well, if you're gonna do by the hourly rate, it would be approximately 1,000 if that's all they did for 2 days straight. Now, it might be different than that, and then plus the parts, so
Plus the
maybe $1,300.
So it's a $400 savings.
Yeah.
So-
$300 or $400 savings
But then
to
if we,
pull them away from their other
Right,
duties
so-
for a couple of days.
but I appreciate them offering. I mean, they're trying to save money, and if they get it done in 1 day, that would be good, but, they don't wanna overcommit, which I understand.
Right, right. Probably better just let Archer Automotive do it and get to, maybe some type of warranty or something that's wrong with
Is
it.
that a motion?
Oh,
I'm sorry, we can.
I just talk all over the place, you already
We
know
can
that.
discuss if we get a second. Sorry.
Yes, I move that, make a motion that we, allow Archer Automotive to do this.
And this is for the 2000
And
truck,
this is for the 2000, yes, truck.
25-year-old truck.
2000 Ford F-250 Super Duty truck.
Okay, do I have a second?
Second.
I have a second from Vice Mayor. Now we can have any
So-
further discussion.
Yes, so the question is, did they ask if, or did you ask if they would, warranty any of the work?
The reason why I
Since it's
smiled,
such an
Commissioner
old-
White just sent me the same question.
Oh.
I'll have to ask, because I don't know the answer to that.
Okay.
What the kind of work they're doing, I don't know. I really have
And
no
the age of the
And it's
truck, they
old,
won't-
yeah, it's an older
likely.
vehicle. But I was,
24-year-old truck.
but I was,
Their prices are competitive and their is very good.
You're speaking on behalf of Archer Automotive? Oh,
Yeah.
Thank you, Mr. Capone.
well, I love them. I think Richard has done a great job over there.
Any discussion from the audience? Yes, sir. Thank you, Mr. Kazicki.
Right, Dr. Siki, citizen. So exactly what is the problem, first of all?
Here,
It,
there you go.
Yeah.
We offered the copy.
stalls when it goes into reverse. It's overheating, misfiring, and it smells like rotten eggs. I guess the battery does that.
So if you look down at this paragraph at the bottom,
It's the
it's
must-dos
telling you a
and then-
lot of what the,
You can cherry pick through the project where you can get it all done so the truck is safe for the staff.
Right, everything I've had done there, they warranty their work. If anything's wrong, you bring it right back, they'll do whatever it takes to get it right. They've never not done that. And I've got the F-350 diesel plus F-150 2001 truck, and they've covered everything all the time.
Okay.
Again, they're competitive priced,
Okay.
so.
they are.
You can keep that if you want it.
Thank you. And I know that Richard Fiegel cares a lot for his city as well. So I'm pretty sure
Come on up,
that
Ms.
he'll
Costello.
provide
You're
a
next.
warranty. Yeah, you could
If it's in
stand.
regard to the motion on the table. Yes, ma'am.
Ready? Lori Costello, citizen. How many guys was proposing to work on the truck?
Two.
Two.
Two?
For 2 days.
And that would be $800?
I just took what both of them made to be John and Calvin times 20 hours.
Okay. Now, because I know we just paid Richard to do oil change, and that was what, about 150?
Somewhere on there.
So they're prepared to do this, but they can't change the oil?
No, it's not that they can't do some of this work. I think they just feel like it would be better to have like a paper trail, but I explained to them we could always keep all the receipts and, write out exactly
Sure.
what they did and stuff like that. I think they're just hesitant sometimes to take things on when we've always brought it somewhere and we have the detailed records there. But like I said, I'm happy that they're presenting new ideas, which all of them have been, on how to save money, throughout the city with different things that we do.
Okay.
So I'm sure they can do it.
Because I'm still waiting on that receipt because the other truck is only getting like 2, 3, 4 miles to a gallon of gas. The newer, 250, and it's been doing that since October. And what, Public Works just figured it out in January?
I don't know the exact month, but the receipt I sent you that you asked for is when they took it in to get that.
The oil
And I
changed.
believe, if I understand correctly, they don't know why the miles per gallon is doing that, why it's so low right now.
I mean, that's significant. It was getting over 20 just a couple years ago. And now it went down to 2, 3, 4 miles to a gallon. So, I don't know, you guys are gonna vote on this, but then you got a newer truck that's only getting 2, 3, 4 miles to a
Okay,
gallon.
we'll review that accuracy. of
Okay.
that. Okay,
All right, thank you.
thank you. Anyone else? Okay, let's go to a vote. All those in favor of the motion to have Archer Automotive do this repair work on the 2,250, say aye.
Aye.
Aye as well. Nays, like sign. Hearing none, motion is approved. The funds from this will be taken from this 230 plus the 14,480 ad for Lauren? Or
I mean, it'll just come out of the general fund,
General
if that's
fund.
what you're
Okay.
asking, yes, sir.
Okay. Thank you. All right, we're down to public comment period number 2. Mr. Trufano, you're on. I'm sorry that you waited patiently long enough. Thank you. Yes.
Oh, what time is it?
You moved up a couple aisles.
It's
You're
a
first.
Tefano,
sir.
yes, thank you. So what I started to say before was, speaking for myself, and I hope, and I'm pretty sure for the rest of the citizens, that we don't come to the meetings to criticize our commissioners and our mayors. We're here to just show, I guess, some of our frustration with what's occurred. And some of the examples that Ms. Fiore has shown you all over the months may seem trivial, but they're not. And it's endemic of how we've gotten to be where we are here. And we just want to see changes. So, yeah, I just want, think you should know that. And, it's not meant to be an attack. It's just, there's a ton of frustration within the community because of the situation we're in. And Commissioner Green, I understand, I hear what you say about three positions being open. I even considered it, but.
And I was going to help you with the forms.
Yes, we talked about it. But when I looked and realized the amount of time that would need or would be required to be an effective commissioner, I decided not to, because I was either in or not, and I have some personal things going on, and I couldn't make the time. So much for that. My second note would be, I would really like to see, I'm a 30-year retired purchasing manager from an international company building power wheelchairs and mobility products for the disabled. We didn't enter into any project until we had all the facts and everything in order. And I really believe that, you know, Mr. Wendelowski has got some really great skills, and when he talks about a business plan, I really think we need to see that for the sewer system before we go and request the grants, because I'm not sure how you can, you know, we can come up with what the citizens will be required to pay if we don't even know what the assets, what the maintenance. The maintenance is a really big thing, like ongoing maintenance, and the references to how we manage our water systems. You know, so that's just my note, and you know,
Thank you.
we know you guys don't
Thank
have
you.
an easy job.
Mr. Lewandowski?
Thank you.
I'll change my name, nobody ever gets it right.
Lewandowski.
Yeah. So one thing, Ms. Green, I just wanted, something I wanted to tell you. I hadn't discussed this publicly. The reason I did not run for office last time is that my mother was in hospice, and I was her primary caregiver. So I just want to be clear about that, okay?
I understand.
It's okay, but that's why. A lot of people asked me, and I just couldn't do two things at once. Mr. Hope, you talked about Mr. Arnold going through over to Coles over the conditional use permit, and I'm sure they did. It's not an easy process. But citizens also went through the Coles for that.
Absolutely.
Okay, and it also cost citizens money to go through that process. A lot of that could have been avoided if the ordinances had been different. And I'm pretty confident in saying that any major new conditional use permit that comes through is going to go through the same process and is likely to wind up in court. And that will continue to be the case until we change our ordinances. Not only conditional use permits, but I think any major project coming through with the way the ordinances are currently written are going to wind up in court. There's no reason for that, but that's the way it is, as of right now.
That's
Thank
why
you.
we're utilizing the North Central Florida Planning Council planners to go through a year-long process. And unfortunately, that's what my remiss was. It's going to take as long as it is, but it's going to have public input. It's going to have multiple workshops, as you saw in the schedule.
Yeah.
And that's available because Dean, I gave it to you today, and please put that on the website. So that if this dais will by consensus approve that once they see it, we need to move forward.
I just want to make sure it was
That
clear
includes
that
all the ordinance
it just wasn't the developer who was applying for it. It was also the citizens that went through a lot on it.
Absolutely.
Okay, I just want to make sure we're clear about
I
that.
just pointed to the gentleman whose family was involved in that.
Yeah, but
as
it's
well
fair
as
statement.
all the
It's fair.
constituents that come to this meeting, as well as all the constituents. And some of us up here still don't agree with what action was taken. So please keep that mindful as
Okay,
well.
all right, thank you.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Arnold.
All right. Do we have any good news in Archer? I'd like to hear some good news.
We're alive.
Well, that's it, but
And we have our grant money.
We paid the big bear in the room, Mr. Arnold.
that is good news.
How
I'm just-
long have I talked about that?
I'm just wanting to, you know, end on a high note here.
He's still gonna get his dessert, but, you know, we'll.
I mean,
figure that out.
this was a good meeting, and send that press release so that the fine folks
think it's
understand that. Tomorrow, we got a food distribution. That affects a lot of people. A lot of people get excited about that. Big lines out there. You gonna put it on the website or the Facebook page?
And the sign, yes.
Okay. Did we fill the baseball team up?
Yes, good.
We found a,
Yes, I believe if I understood Justin this morning that Scott White had said that
Thank you, Ms. Fiore.
he got enough. Bronson, I guess, didn't get enough, so some of the Bronson children are coming here. So yes,
okay,
everything's full.
that's good news.
It is.
All right, what about, now, I looked at the agenda on Friday when you put it out. What happened today? What did you change? What did you add? Because that's always kind of, I haven't time to look it over the weekend. What'd you add to it?
The only thing I didn't add anything. All I did was I had Amanda's contract uploaded because I got it kind of late Thursday and we had a charter review meeting. So this morning I just rescanned it and put it on there so it's in one full document. But I can leave all the old stuff on there. I just want people to get confused, that's all.
Okay, it's just, if you read the, however many pages, and then it
Right.
comes back, and I didn't know that it got changed today.
It
But
was
it made,
today,
and I didn't know what changed, so.
Yes.
And then the other question was for the city attorney, and she left, but stepped
I
out.
think she stepped out, yeah.
How do they rotate from a continuity standpoint with Miss Adams versus Miss Ballou? Do they do it every 2 weeks and they change? Is there some rhyme or reason to it?
Those two tag teams.
Yes.
New
And-
associates.
and-
I don't like it. But it
Yeah,
is
we
what
don't
it
like
is
it. We-
with
But
our-
when you say tag team, does one come on the first meeting and then the other one
No.
comes on the
Just
second?
depends on who's focusing on what project, but as you can
Kinda,
see,
yeah.
there's not smooth continuity. And
Okay, because
I don't disrespect either one of them, but
I don't know about that, because I think
Yeah, I don't-
they discuss and
try.
talk about everything together. However, Danielle is usually the one that's here, but she had some trials that she could not
they go to trial.
be
and that's
away
when we do
from.
the other one.
And so Kirsten was here, but they still communicate and collaborate on everything.
And that.
And I
that
mentioned
first
that.
Being here, that's another consideration for us to review, is our legal counsel
But-
representation.
Miss Fiore brought up a lot of good points, and she mentions things that maybe don't get caught, but I would say in fairness, but sometimes she's talking to Miss Adams, let's say, and then the document comes out, and maybe it's Miss Ballou, and she doesn't see, because she didn't, and I don't know, maybe both of them watch the entire YouTube meeting from the previous, when they don't come. I don't know, but I know that their continuity is a good thing. So anyways,
Thank you. So noted.
congrats again.
So duly noted.
Do
Thank
you want to
sir.
speak to that or no?
Anyone else?
I was grabbing Miss Fiore's edits. I apologize. I didn't want her to
To
leave.
disclose to you were being talked about or whatever, the whole legal team, whatever. Wanted to know how we do the tag team between you and Kirsten. I said, it's thing one and thing two. They
We
collaborate.
watch.
One goes into trial.
If one of us isn't here, the other one's watching. So like
And
Kirsten
before that,
is,
we had Clay Martin, which I won't talk about Mr. Martin.
watching right now?
yes.
Hi, Kirsten.
So, I mean, neither one of us misses a meeting. Yeah. So
And
it's
some of the
a,
things that they're talking about, like surplus properties and their needs, I'll say it or whatever, is from their predecessor associate Clay Martin, when they inherited all of that issue. And he has a different warp speed altogether than them. I'm not gonna evaluate the whole team, but that's what we talked about.
yeah, so no, we, if one of us isn't here, the other one's watching. So you guys keep us very busy. Don't worry.
And when Mr. Walker and Mr. Foles walk in, that's usually getting evaluated.
That's typically seeing if one of us can make a cheap shot at one of them while we're sitting up here.
Is the next meeting the joint meeting? Is that?
No. We
No,
have a
so we
regular
have-
meeting, and then we have the joint city council, city county on the 17th. So we have 3 meetings in the month of March.
All right, let's get all those questions ready. Let's get ready to, oh, I can't, I'm gonna have my popcorn when the vice mayor sees Mary Alford come in here. Woo! Thank you.
Mr. Arnold, I want to know, did you make it to the line dance?
Not yet.
Oh,
I was busy. But can't go on Mondays, but Thursday.
The floors got done for you on Wednesday, so for Thursday's night meeting. Yes, ma'am, go ahead.
Lori Costello, citizen. Did Public Works hand in their list of surplus yet?
No, we talked about that this morning. They're gonna have it ready for me by next Thursday, so it can go on the March 10th agenda.
Okay. Dallas talked about having a separate line for overtime. Are we doing that?
When we can, yes.
Okay.
Only reason why I say that is Amanda's not as proficient, in QuickBooks as Dallas is, so Justin and I and Amanda YouTube a lot to try to figure out QuickBooks.
Okay. And what about overstaffed water department? He said that we're overstaffed in the water department. Are we doing anything about that?
I didn't hear that.
Yeah.
I don't recall overstaffed.
Yep. He said that.
I don't believe
He
that's
made
correct.
recommendations to move some of it into the other revenue.
Well, he made a reference to Newberry and how many people they had, and he said that Archer's overstaffed.
Besides, Top, can you just ask Amanda through the Dallas, Amanda transition about that and just see, if he had some recommendation that I did not hear? Because I thought it was regarding the amended budget myself.
Commissioner Green, I will let you know that Bill ran 3 elections ago. No, 2 elections ago. I ran 3 elections ago. Okay, so it's not like we didn't try to run. I go over all the bills. I do a lot of stuff. And I come up here all the time for years, profit and loss, budget, begging you guys to look at all the bills. Brought forth the gas mileage it was disappearing. I mean, hundreds of things have I brought up here. Everything I have been totally ignored. So do I come up here and gripe? Yes, and I will continue to do that. But sometimes you just, you need to listen. And I still stand by what I say. If you can't commit to 15 to 20 hours a week doing commission work, then please resign, because it takes that long. And it's so depressing for not only myself, but the public to hear. I have family. I don't have time. I have other things to do. Especially after what we've been through, that's not what we want to hear. Really. I mean, if somebody resigns, we'll find somebody to fill that seat. Okay? I just want you to listen and be proactive. And I'm going to beg you again, please know all the bills that you are approving.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Costello.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you for participating.
If I can respond to Ms. Costello.
Anyone else?
Can I respond to Ms. Costello?
No, you don't need to.
Okay, no
We're
response.
public servants.
All right.
Just remember that. So we're here for
Now, I'm being respectful. I never said I didn't have time and all of that stuff, but me and Ms. Costello go through it all. We go back and forth all the time, and we still all right. So
Okay.
that's still my friend.
Okay, so.
Anyone else on public comments?
The next meeting, March 10th.
Yes, ma'am.
I am leaving on Wednesday to go to my second trip to Africa.
Oh.
Yeah, and so I am scheduled to fly back on the 9th. Not sure, well, I know it may be the 10th, yeah, because they are ahead of us a little bit. So depending on what time I get home and how much rest I get, I may not be here on the 9th. I mean, on the 10th. I keep saying on the 9th.
Okay. So we'll be missed. You'll be back by the 17th or no?
Yeah.
Oh, for the joint meeting? Okay, thank you very much. Again, we're about to adjourn this meeting. If everyone, public
I
comments.
wanted to say something
Yes,
when
ma'am.
you're done, please.
Yes, ma'am. And the only thing I, would ask of you, Deanna, is I spoke briefly to Mr. Lewandowski directly on this. I forwarded it to him. It's the commitment, that last meeting we were told, and I think Danielle, you got it as well, from North Central Florida Planning Council regarding their commitment to assist us in the City of Archer Community Planning Workshops. And it's out through August of 2026. If you could put that on the website, that's the commitment from them to the county regarding how they're going to assist us in our partner contract with North Central Florida Planning Council in our planning workshops as it relates to reviewing our comprehensive plan, making any recommendations for amending public input workshops and things like that. So what was amiss last meeting is on record here. and I gave it to you today, if you just put it on the website so the community knows. And again, just reviewing from February 20th, what Dallas Lee had talked and giving recommendations. I don't know if you're referencing or can remember the email, but the first thing was the way we were going to deal with IRS and the payment. We've acted otherwise, except for the interest and the penalties, which we'll go through legal to get to that point of offering compromise. The second thing he talked about was the leave the law enforcement MSTU and raise your millage. We'll have to act on what we're going to do with the MSTU. If you could agenda that or make sure that's on our next meeting, to make sure that we're all on board with the MSTU and continuing it and that due diligence, what that anticipated expense would be. Because I don't know about everybody else, but I don't know with the change of guard what that MSTU expense is going to be to us. But if we could find out, and there's an agenda that could be very brief, just what that MSTU, what it provides for our citizenry and protection and services between the sheriff and the sheriff's office, and especially now that we have the branch office here at the Archer Community Center, which is the only problematic thing I see in that. I think it's very good. I think it diminishes and provides additional level of security, except our supplies are kept in there. So it's limited on being able to access, because the events over the weekend, they didn't have garbage bags, they didn't have paper towel, because it wasn't out. And if again, I don't want to micromanage that. If you could just get with the appropriate staff to know whether it's the lady we still contract with or it's our guys on Thursday, if there's events, what are they supposed to leave out and how much and where? Because there's tons of toilet paper. You know, so they could have had a sickness run through, and there've been plenty of toilet paper, which concerns me. How much, and you just determine with the guys and whoever that person's going to be, but ensure that there's garbage bags and paper towel. Because I think the event went well on Saturday. We did get to utilize the community service workers, because I was our volunteer or whatever, taking the liability as your mayor. And we cleaned like little bad bugaboos on Wednesday and had 2 very strong service people with that. I do want, if you all did not know, Mr. Lewandowski took it upon himself on February 14th, 2025 to reach out himself as a concerned citizen and memo to its mayor. My reply to Representative Henson and Johnson, and also the full audit. Thank you, Mr. Lewandowski. I don't even want to ask you what your intent was. I guess it was honorable and respectful.
So
it was totally transparent, and that's what you provided, is total transparency, but I will read it.
And I said the same thing I said here.
I am a private citizen and a resident of the city of Archer, Florida. This email is in response to the below email exchange between Representative Henson and the city of Archer, Florida, that resulted from my appearance at the Alachua County Legislative Delegation Public Hearing on January 9, 2025. At that hearing, Archer City Commissioners Hope and White appeared before the delegation to request funding for a joint wastewater project between the city of Archer and the city of Newberry. I spoke separately about 2 hours after City Commissioners Hope and White. It was almost 4.5 hours, so I respect your attendance for that long. Appeared before the delegation in my capacity as a private citizen. Based on the emails below, there appears to have been confusion as to my relationship to the city of Archer and my comments to the delegation. My purpose in writing this email is to clarify that I am a private citizen and to clarify the requests I made to the delegation that day. During my brief presentation, I stated that in November 2024, the city of Archer notified both the governor and the Joint Legislative Auditing Committee that the city is in the state of financial emergency as defined by Florida Statute 218.503. I went on to express my concern that, to the best of my knowledge, neither the governor nor the Joint Legislative Auditing Committee had taken the steps to assess the situation in the city of Archer outlined in subsection 2 and subsection 3 of 218.503, and I asked for the delegation's assistance in moving forward in this regard. I did not ask for the Joint Legislative Auditing Committee to conduct an audit as stated in the Representative Henson's attached letter, memo to Mayor Iris Bailey, Financial Audit PDF. However, since that time, an updated external financial report for the fiscal year ending September 2023 was presented at a commission meeting and is attached to this email. Following are notable items from this report, and then he went into detail. I don't want to belabor you all for 2.5 pages more of the succinct points brought out in our audit to Representative Henson. With that said, at the balance of his notation, he states that I am not a lawyer, but it seems to me that the purpose of Florida Statute 218.503 is to notify both the governor and the Joint Legislative Auditing Committee when there has been a failure in good governance and financial management as defined by the statute. It is a fail-safe for local citizens when local government fails us. Based on our current situation, I don't believe that it is unreasonable to conclude that the citizens of the city of Archer need the state of Florida to provide immediate oversight and assistance to our city commission. For record, thank you, Mr. Lewandowski. I would hope the intent was honorable. Next, there's just an opportunity. I don't mind doing it, but I certainly will give it to anyone else in the dais. I received this from Morgan Markle, who is a graduate University College nursing student doing her thesis on municipal health, and I guess medical health. I don't know. I should ask her if it's financial or otherwise. But she addresses me and says, Mayor Hope, I hope you're doing well. My name is Morgan Markle, and I'm a nursing student at the University of Florida. In my final semester, as part of my population health course, my group is conducting a health assessment of the Archer community to better understand the health concerns and needs of its residents. To gain a well-rounded perspective, we're reaching out to key stakeholders in the area, and we greatly appreciate the opportunity to speak with you or one of your commissioners. We have a brief questionnaire designed to guide our discussion, which would take more than 15 or 20 minutes. We're happy to meet in person at your convenience or virtually by Zoom. Is anyone interested in doing this with this lady and representing Archer's Health?
How soon does she want to do it?
This was dated February 15th, so in the next few days. I mean, anytime you reach out to her, I'm sure she sets up the Zoom and you just do it 15 minutes. And again, I'm not being facetious when I say I presume it's just medical health needs and things like that. I was thinking of you, Kathy, because you did the last health fair and kind of know the feel, whether it was a bomb or you thought it did well, but, and you work in the
Well,
health.
let's go on and do it again.
Absolutely, because you left your sign still up. I still got it at home if you need it, when I was doing cleanup the other day. But if you could just share with her, if I was thinking of you, if you
Yeah,
want.
I've done one of those before.
Not trying to sign anything, but I just.
It was like the interview.
You did the health fair, and I thought that would be great, and just identify yourself and say I dumped on you, so. All right, thank you very much. And then, all right, we answered that with the IRS, thank you very much. All right, that's all I have.
What you answered with me?
IRS, not,
Oh.
that's your new name, IRS. It could be, no, IRS, because I was concerned how we were addressing that, so thank you very much. And by consensus, y'all are okay with just posting us on the website about North Central Florida Planning, helping us to plan as we move forward on that. Okay, thank you. If there's nothing else, this meeting is adjourned.
Deanna had something.
Yes, ma'am, I'm sorry.
For Commissioner White, she said about recreation, just so everyone's listening. She said, yes, they got sponsors for all the teams, but they need all new banner sponsors. Banners are $325 for any business that wants to advertise and support.
Or
So
church?
anyone listening?
Could it be a
yes,
church,
yeah,
too?
Yes, yes.
Do they have?
Private, anybody that wants
So we reach out to her for the information or?
Scott White, and then, make the
Do
payment
they
at
have
City Hall.
letters? Do they have donation letters or no? For
Yeah.
the banners?
I would need that from a church to
Do they
present.
have a donation letter? Can you
Oh.
ask her if they have any donation letters?
I can't remember if I did that or not.
Can that be posted on the website also? Can it be posted on Facebook and, the city website?
Okay, anything else?
No, sir.
That's it? This meeting is adjourned at 8:56. Thank y'all very much for attending and being patient.
Yes.
Oh, everybody have a good night.
Yes, I'm so tired.
No, this is
And Alachua tomorrow night, right?